Hello, everyone. That's how you start a stream, right? By saying hello. Actually, you start a stream by hanging out on the stream start screen for a little while, and then you say hello. Or at least that's how I seem to start them. I like to make sure that the connection's stable and all that good stuff. Floodplain of Mahnkelon. I'm pretty sure I have not vanquished, so that's what we're gonna start off with. Is the Zaishen Vanquish today. Obviously, I could not possibly have gotten the Zaishen Vanquish or any additional Zaishen Vanquishes between yesterday and today, seeing as that's not how time works. I think that's a solid argument. I'm going over here to the Elonian Travel Fellow, so that way I can get where I'm trying to go. Which is Korna. I guess it's Rylon Refuge? I don't know which outpost is the one I'm going to want to leave from. I have tweaked my microphone settings a little bit, by the way. In listening to some of the initial playback of stuff, I feel like it's been sounding a little bit overdriven. Not that I think that the audio itself is too loud, but that it sounds like it's coming through too loudly. Overdriven is basically a thing where the loudness is getting clipped, and so it makes a very specific sounding effect that I don't necessarily want. I'm hoping that these tweaks have helped with that. I think some settings got monkeyed with I don't know, a Google Hangout or something. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm curious to see if that here. You don't see. I mean, I will see the waveform as well. I'm curious to hear if that's fixed it, or I could see the waveform if I wanted to. Okay. So what I want to do first is verify that this is the floodplain of Mahnkelon. Okay, good. It is. Do I want to go from... I guess it doesn't really matter. This is kind of a weird map. I assume we can go here and here. Okay, so I know there's Hecate out here. I'm just not sure what else. So I'm going to check the floodplain of Mahnkelon. Yes, that would be the one. Thank you. Auto-complete on the wiki. Foes. Being smart and not just scrolling down. Okay, so we've got Velt. Okay, so we got ourselves some bugs, some steel-fiend drakes, some tuca birds. Those things aren't too bad, though. Various types of Hecate. Various types of Corsair and Cornins. Okay, depending upon how popular those are... Cornins are really down on enchantments, so I may want to drop Aura of Holy Might. Possibly. Possibly. No guarantee of that. Okay, nothing notable in bosses. I might worry about an Elementalist boss, but it's an Ice Shackles boss, so I'm not too worried. And then some scale. So I think, just glancing through that and passing familiarity, I'm going to, you know what? This is probably fine. Like again, I just stay on the Pious Renewal train because it works. And I've been happy with how some of this stuff has been going. Yeah, that's some decent hex removal. You know what? I might try putting him on Hex Eater Signet. Because this is an AoE hex removal skill. It might be useful as a result. Gwen is fine. I don't think I need Zed. And I'd kind of rather not bring him on the basis of enchantment stripping and wanting more interrupts. I think I'm going to bring Daedalon. Where is he? M-E. Where do they stick Mesmers in these things? I wasn't thinking Panic, although that's not a bad call. Okay, well that was a sneeze threatening to happen. I kind of want Power Block here, actually. Weirdly, randomly. Power Block's what I'm feeling. Cry of frustration, mistrust, unnatural signet. Do I feel like I want shatter hacks on him? Let's see. I've got blessed light on her. Exeter vortex, shatter hex. A second shatter hex certainly doesn't hurt. I might drop empathy because I kind of want like a signet of distraction. Yeah. I kind of want this because it's free. Giving a free interrupt seems useful. Keystone Signet's a weird one, and I'm not quite sure how to use it properly. I'll worry about that more at a future date. Spiritual Pain's just some nice additional damage. Yeah, I think I'm gonna be okay with this configuration. Let's go floodplaining. That doesn't make any sense. But I said it, so here we are. Floodplain of Mahnkelon time. Oh, I did complete the path to Revelations. I'm not going to worry about that fact right now, though. Where did my... This is an interesting question. Just before I go start killing stuff. Where did my... I got all the way up to Slayer of Hordes. So I got from 7 to 9 with that Vanquish of Varajar Fells yesterday. That's pretty cool. It just has to get up to 160,000 to get the rest of the way there. And that's another 50k. So it's like almost a third of what I've got. Hey, Wandering Priest. I'll take this. It's not important, but I'll take it. Part of the reason why I wasn't too worried about hanging on to this is because I know I'm not going to fight only Cornins, and it's useful against other things. You're spamming Glimmer of Light. How about you stop? Yeah, there's not that strong of healers, so... How do I want to go through here? This is the part where I realize I legitimately don't really know this map, like, at all, so I don't really have a good sense of how to route it. I think I want to go south first, so we're going to go south first. That's based on no particular anything other than why not. I should probably be using that scythe. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Just have to reapply this a little bit more often. It's not a huge deal. Hope y'all are doing well today. By the way, it's always an important thing. Did I bring enough... Hang on. I am woefully underprepared for salvaging things. Hopefully there's a random merchant around. Yes. Actually, I do kind of want to walk up against this wall just to make sure. Yeah, see? Did you see that little bit of map? You can clip that. A little bit of map uncovering. That's what we're looking for in cartography. Little bits of map. I could also probably go a little bit deeper into that outpost and uncover some stuff, which is something I will need to do for cartography, is just go scrape outposts like this. That's probably not the most exciting thing. This is not the most exciting thing, if I'm being honest. But that's cartography in this game. I like what they did with Guild Wars 2, just like mass uncovering regions a little bit better when it comes to this sort of thing, just from the sense that this is a little precise and tedious as a result. But, you know, here we are. I have some Hecate I need to go kill. I'm going to go do that. I mean, that is ostensibly what we're here for, so... Hey, skill point. That's fun. This character does not need them like my Elementalist will. My Elementalist, I'm working on getting a legendary skill hunter on. This character already has that. But it seemed like fun to get on my Elementalist too, so... Here we are. Blood cowl Hecate. Isn't a cowl like a hood? Like Batman has a cowl, right? So are those Hecate literally taking like a bat hood out of blood or something? That sounds unpleasant and also after a while extraordinarily stinky. I don't know how good their sense of smell is, but I have to imagine it is at least somewhat decent. Although maybe if you have a bunch of dried blood on your head all the time, it's going to go away. What I'm saying is that that's a very provocative name, but maybe it shouldn't be critically examined too closely. I will add, by the way, when I'm fighting Cornins, I'm probably not going to try too hard to keep Aura Holy Might up, just because they have a boatload of... oh, hi. A boatload of skills for stripping them. Ooh, Steady Stance. That's right, they use, like, the Steady Stance, Drunken Blow. Come. Wait, no, they wouldn't. Because Drunken Blow is and Desperation Blow are prophecies / yeah, I don't think about that, but they're prophecies or faction skills. They're not available in Nightfall here. You know what? I could look up NPCs in this zone. See if there's a merchant around. That's not a bad idea. Yeah, let's take a quick look. It also has an allies section. There's a bunch of anomalies. Okay, well, okay, there is a merchant. Totondo. Thanks. I was hoping that click southeastern corner. Okay, that is what I was looking for. Thank you, Wiki. I don't know why you didn't have a map and had more explicit directions. Southeast is over this direction. So I want to kind of be sweeping that way because I want to make sure I'm picking that up. I don't really have a good reason to talk to this wandering priest. Realistically. I don't need a Hecate bounty. Does this give me... No, it doesn't give me anything special. I just really want to be a really high-ranking Sunspear. Need to get near this zone portal, but I want to make sure I don't go through it. That's as far as I feel comfortable. I could probably get closer, but I don't feel comfortable. So, here we are. Decisions have been made. Decisions have been made. Okay, Hecate. Let's see what you are... Ooh, these are mostly Blood Cowl. Interesting. That's not really the balance you want to strike. Blood Cowl Hecate are more of a support build with like Order of Pain and Mark of Fury and stuff. So they're made to support all of the physical attackers the Hecates have. So I kind of feel like you want to emphasize that. So having a spawn that's mostly Blood Cowl is somewhat unthreatening, relatively speaking. This is... Yeah, okay. Just looking at my different scythe options that I have with me. Hey, Wandering Priest, how you doing? Yes, people are dying to Hecate. It is a tragedy. It is a tragedy. I agree with you, Wandering Priest. The little map swirly is still the same one that they used in Prophecies for zone portals, but different graphic. I don't know. Maybe a little fancier. Again, I'm coming along here for cartography more than anything, because cartography pairs very well with Vanquisher, which is nice. I can't imagine doing one of these without General Morgan along, well, or some other Paragon to make me run faster. Okay, so these are Corsair. Corsair net's really annoying. I'm actually going to adjust my positioning a little bit. Admiral Kaya, you have daggers. I don't know what they do. Spirit Shackles. Well, I didn't get them. Wouldn't be too bad to try to farm if I really wanted them. I don't know what the daggers have, though, so it's kind of a moot point. Could somebody get this stupid hex off of me? Thank you. Well, I don't know if that was anyone getting the hex off of me versus it just wearing out on its own. I'm gonna use another one of these. I should probably go after the Blue Tongue. Blue Tongue Hecate are monks. I think that might be Word of Healing monks too, actually, at that. Word of Healing is pretty good skill. I really like the design of it. I think the design is really interesting. Because it kind of plays catch-up mechanic. It doesn't heal as well if you're not dying as much. Right? And I think that's really neat. What do we have that's inflicting blind? Oh, ineptitude, duh. I don't know why I forgot about that one. It's a key part of my strategy, you see. I don't have any particular strategy for how I'm going through this zone. I'm just saw that there's a merchant that way and feel like I need one, so I'm kind of working my way that way. Because my salvage kit, for reference, my salvage kit is got like 2 charges left, and I should have gotten a fresh one before I set out, but I didn't, so now I'm just trying to make my way towards where the wiki said a merchant lives. So that way I can purchase a fresh salvage kit. Although I guess I need enough loot to actually be able to afford one. What is my goodness? 50,000 is the cap that you need for Legendary Sun Spear, and I'm already like 7,000 above that. What's 7,000 for, like tier 7 or 6 or 7 or something? I forget, but let's just say the costs for the title tracker grow quite quickly. I don't know if these guys use Chillblains or not. Probably not. When they're using blood and death, that probably means they're not also in curses, where Chillblains lives. So that's kind of a nice change of pace. Oftentimes, they like to give Chillblains to Necromancer enemies. How's my... almost where I need it. It won't take much more to be able to afford a... oh. Hello. Land Guardian, looks like there's a Blue Tongue. Healing Ring. Healing Ring is not what I would consider to be a good skill. Healing Ring has all of the downsides of heal area with none of the upside of healing yourself. Ah, Ferocious Strike boss. I like Ferocious Strike. That mob had disappointingly few loot drops. Good old Grunt's balance. Good old Mesmer's doing their job, interrupting random junk. That's why I brought them along after all. Well, that's not the only reason. I also brought them along for damage, but... hi, Robo Hardback. I think this is the Decapitate boss, isn't it? Well, I think I've got enough gold coins at this point. There we go. If you couldn't see, I was hovering over Icy Shackles, which is like Mind Freeze without the damage and more duration. I think Mind Freeze is probably mostly better. Yeah, okay, I have plenty of gold for salvage kit when it comes time to collect one. I should go after this. I was kind of hoping I was in a position to kind of like take out multiple of these, but rampaging Tukas are rampaging through my backline, and it is not pretty. Okay, this is just like, really? These guys are giving you this much trouble sort of thing. I don't know what proper prioritization looks like around here, but I think we're recovering. I don't know, that partial wipe felt kind of weird. That was weird how his corpse is just like, I will rotate into position for resurrection now. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what that was about. I kind of get the distinct impression it was like maybe something going on with the healers, or maybe there's just too much of that sort of backline going in on everybody. I should probably give everyone a chance to recover some energy. Oh. Or we have a BIP and it doesn't matter. I'm going to go with that option. Yeah, another Wandering Priest. That doesn't really matter. I just tapped him and he died. They're not too bad. Just need to make sure you're careful about quantity, I guess. I'm a little bit more aimed towards taking care of... Yeah, there's the merchant. Of casters than I am physical attackers. That is true. I suspect partially what happened is some of the healing backline ran out of energy and the BIP was like dead or something, and I don't know. No, 74. Spirit Bond is one of those skills. It's like really good in specific circumstances, and otherwise it just doesn't do anything. But it's a really nice like safety valve type of skill, you know, where it's like, oh, I am getting wrecked by these things. I will bring this to protect me. Start the great salvage off. I don't know if I would need a new ID kit. I think I'm fine on that front. I am going to salvage a few things and then sell some stuff to him, though. Specifically, I'm going to sell him this staff I don't need. No, that can stay there. It's a valuable purple. No, goodbye. I'm done. What's in this, though? Stormbound. Okay, I'm going to salvage that. Stormbound ain't worth anything, and I know it. I'm not going to pretend it is. I meant to hit U, and I hit F9 instead, and I don't know how I made that accident. Oh, my unicorn wore off. I guess I've been in this map for about 20 minutes then. Yeah. They last 10 minutes. That's where that came from. And I've used 2. Is this the healing type of... Yes, it is. I'm getting the distinct impression that this map has a very donut-like design. So Tuca birds are the monks. Crested Tuca birds are the mesmers. And rampaging and Tuca are completely different things entirely. So I don't know what Tuca means. Yeah. Get your defensive nonsense off. I feel like I have been wild struck or something. Blade recurve bows salvage into iron, if I remember correctly. I feel like I'm going to be making some interesting paths around here. They use Rage of the Ntuka, so they're honoring Ntuka. I'm not sure how that works, obviously, but Steelfleet Drakes do not appear to be Ntuka on the surface. That was a big chunk of map uncovered. Yeah, because these are specifically called Ntuka birds. Did there really have to be Mandragore there? Asking for my backline. Not, I'm noticing that they seem to have been particularly skilled. As my backline is holding up against them admirably. I was kind of worried that would be an over aggro because of the random spawn. I think I was talking about this some yesterday, actually, where I don't like random spawns that are kind of in the middle of where other enemies are. Because of the sort of ambushy nature of that. I'm going to go over more that way, but I kind of want to go around the outside edge here before I worry about kind of more of the central middle areas. I don't know. I'm not necessarily going to take this the most efficient routing possible. I noticed that Crusted have an extra set of wings, it looks like, and are more red. I'm going to switch back over to this one. This is a Zealous Scythe. The other one is a Furious Scythe. And I'm kind of wanting this slightly longer. But this one is defensive, right? And this one is enchanting. And I kind of want the longer enchanting duration. It gives me a little bit more leeway on Pious Renewal. Because it will outlast its recharge with an enchanting mod. And that makes it a little bit easier to do stuff. I.e., use a skill that wants to eat Pious Renewal. Ooh, a chunk of Drake Flesh. Excellent. You know what that means. More kebabs. For other characters. Maddock Crevice is just over there. I think we're going to be passing over the top of it. I'm not quite sure how this works. Okay, there's a zone portal. Yeah, so I'll be passing over the top of Maddock Crevice. Interesting. I think I'm going to make this kind of big upper outer loop. And then I'm going to need to go inside there, obviously. It seems like there's a lot of the enemies on the outside, but certainly not all of them. But judging by how much this has been filled up already, there can't be a ton of enemies inside. That's not how the math would work. Anything over this way? We can see down into Maddock Crevice. That's kind of cool. Again, I'm making sure to kind of go around the outside for maximum attempts at cartography, and that's part of why I'm going the way that I am in this area in general. Some of these collision boxes are very different from what the geometry would imply. I like Thrill of Victory. Thrill of Victory is a good skill. Feels very Dervish-ish. Although it way predates that, obviously. Seeing as it's like a prophecy skill. I don't necessarily need to be fighting that specific guy versus, say, this guy over here. Oh, I've slain 50 beasts. That means I've slain 91 things that are not beasts, I assume. Or at least 90 anyway. Whenever I see hero like that, where my mouse kind of highlighted their nameplate, it often can take my brain a moment to realize that they're not a green that has been dropped. Especially if I'm fighting a boss or something. It's like, oh, I got a sweet Master of Whispers. Wait. That's not how this works at all. Ugh. That moment of realization when I recognized that I should really have brought stance removal and didn't. We'll get to those Cornins later. I have way more Sunspirit promo points than I have any need for. Yeah, I didn't think I was going to be able to walk on that rock. Again, I'm just trying to walk along the edge as close as I can for cartography. This is an interesting jigsaw of an area. It reminds me of that spot in Dark Souls 3 on the way to the Cathedral of the Deep, where you have like multiple paths and crystal lizards. If I'm remembering my areas correctly. It's been a while since I played that game. I liked it reasonably well. I like the combat systems in it best of any of the Dark Souls games overall. Although power stancing from 2 is really cool. This is where all of the Drakes on a Plane area takes place. Is up here. And the individual zones themselves were pretty decent, but I did not like the overall world design as much. It was way too linear. Well, that's been my talk on that. Let's go some more Tuca. Technically, this would go a little bit more quickly if I took out the bird first, possibly. I don't know. These things are just... Glimmer of Light's not a bad skill, I don't think, but it is not the most powerful heal. Okay. Now I'm going to kind of... I want to... how do I want to approach this? I kind of want to make sure I'm getting some of these inner areas too. Maybe I'll just kind of go around this outside edge. It doesn't really feel like the most efficient thing I could be doing, but it doesn't feel terrible. I'm just, again, like... What? I stepped down here and a bajillion Velt spawned. Now I have to kill a bajillion Velt. Alright, more gold for me, I guess. Vanquish rewards you based on the number of enemies killed, so... It looks like they're doing a pretty good job of trying to congregate next to me, so... I don't have to run super far to get to them all. I want to get these where they're bunched up a little bit, because my scythe makes that more efficient. I do like the fact that a lot of my heroes are being somewhat protected by their rock face. Okay, I'm just gonna... Okay, I don't think there's more hiding, waiting to ambush me. Again, more enemies is more... cartography. Or more gold, rather, when the thing's over. So I wish I'd brought Irresistible Sweep. Do I want to go in there? Yeah, I think I'm going to work my way out through the waterworks. I don't know. Trying to decide how I want to proceed. And feeling very regretful that I did not bring skills to punch through. Whirling defense. It lasts for so long. Like, Twin Moon Sweep does get through block, but who are you and what are you even about? I don't want you to rush to judgment on the Sunspear matter. How credible is information we have received from Gandhara? Hi, Sunspears. Relax. I won't tell anyone I saw you here. It may not seem like it, but many Corners are sympathetic to your plight. The defeat at Gandhara was a heavy blow for all Elonians. Interesting. It's got Jaravit. Oh. Well. It's not exactly how this works, but... yeah, use your mighty throw. I'm going this side first. I need to go both sides eventually. This is the person who commanded this siege on us. It is mostly just vaguely irritating. More than actually dangerous, I mean. Hey, I got a lucky hit through. It is only a 75% chance to block. There's a 25% chance that I'll hit. Wait, this Cornyn soldier doesn't want to fight me? Okay. And then there's a Whispers informant. Yeah, a lot of my stuff is just going to end up getting stripped. Because they have so many skills for removing enchantments. And what can I do? Chase these guys down, apparently. What is a Spalder? I don't think there are any elementals on this map. There's a Whispers informant over here I'm going to go say hi to. Hey, there's a little button. Hardly a secret passage, but... you know, here we are. This was a reasonable spot to get to try to fight some Iron-Tooth Drakes. Which might be useful to consider. Although I've been doing a decent job of stocking up on Drake flesh for the purposes of making kebabs, so... Good. Stop them from sieging us. I'd really rather they didn't, you see. We need to be reasonable and consider the consequences of our decisions before committing to a war with Easton. I would say so. But I mean, I might be biased. You haven't seen those renegade sun spears, have you? I mean, maybe? What is all of this sun spear business people are chatting about? Ah, yes. Somebody hip with the times. Think about what this war will do to trade. We'll be cut off from all of our normal shipping lanes. The Corsairs will be the only ones to profit from this. Somebody thinking big-term consequences. I see. The economic consequences. I think I'm going to come back out this way and go along this path, because I want to get along that side. This does not go down over here, apparently. It goes down over here. Now I know. Now I know. I don't expect to run into a whole lot along this path. I was just proven otherwise. Hello, random Mandragore pop-up. How are you doing today? Present, I see. Counted for. I will go back to salvaging random junk in my inventory now. Now that the Mandragore, or that Mandragore menace was taken care of. Apparently new ones appeared. Ooh, these guys have the Chillblains. I see. It's my curses spamming friends. Stoneflesh auras. A little deep here. Okay, we must have gotten rid of it. I'm dealing too much damage. Yeah. Oh. I mean, I did clearly need to come back this way. There's some Tukas over there. And everybody's favorite, more Mandragore over here. Good. Got the important enchantment. I would have preferred Vial of Purple. I think that's the one I'm shortest on in terms of dyes, but at least it wasn't yellow. I have copious quantities of yellow. Ooh, interrupted a Glimmer of Light. That's exciting. What with it being a quarter cast skill and all that. Okay, back to Ye Edge. Trying to make sure I uncover stuff in there. I felt like I was missing some, so... Hey, Wandering Priest, how you doing? Scale A. I think I've killed a bunch of Scale. So I'm not sure how many more there are for me to go after. This area, I know I kind of explored kind of to the extent that I know that I can. Yeah, some more dudes over that way. What? Well, that was the wrong ordering of my skills, but oh well. Have to live with it. For at least the next several seconds. which is frustrating because it means I'm missing out on a lot of damage. There we go. Reclaim those. Or Holy Might damage packets. What are you the boss for? Apparently you're the boss for running around. I don't know, I didn't have to capture you, so you must be some, core skill. Benatu Supanon? What? It's an interesting name. I feel like their naming strategy here was let's throw H's in it. That'll confuse people. Okay, let's focus on Commander Nos here. On account of her being a monk. You see. Good old mistrust. It's a big reservoir area. It's definitely got to be important economically to the Cornins. A big old reservoir like this. I think what I'm going to do is kind of go through this way and then back down that way. I feel like I've cleared out a lot of the map, though. Ooh, I've almost finished off my supply of candy corn. Excellent. I'll reclaim an inventory spot after I've done so. I'm mostly using it to use it up. Yeah. I hope they execute every one of those Traitor Sunspear scum. I mean, okay, but I've got bad news for you. Yeah, I got a few dudes up this way to go get that I passed by on my previous journey through this general vicinity. Boy, that was a last minute interrupt on that. Cordon Siege, very slow skill. Kind of annoying. More so than it feels straight up deadly, you know? It is interesting talking to all the NPCs out here that I have, like the named NPCs that actually have like text pop-ups. Not these like generic Cornin peasants that don't say anything. Who rules in Gundar? Good question. And seeing some of the varied thoughts on the whole Sun Spear situation that they present. It's like some of them are in support of the Sun Spears, and some of them are like, I don't know what's going on here. Some of them are against the Sun Spears and see them as traitors, like they're being proclaimed to be by their leader. But it's just interesting that it's not like one opinion rules all. And I enjoy some of that variety. We had dinner twice. I'm glad the monsters are gone. I could eat all I want. Okay. I'm just kind of coming in here again. I don't know if there's any little bits of cartography that might be getting uncleared. Also, this fountain is making very loud sound effects. I mean, that sounds kind of like water falling into water. I don't know. I think I just have a few Hecate over there left to kill. Hey, some boats. What? Hello, Engineer Tussie. Trolling this river is like taming a raging beast, but it's still far simpler than getting children to obey their father. What's the story here? What's going on? Welcome back, Tussie. Yeah, hi. What's going on? The heck? What? Okay, what's going on? Did you see her? Ever since General Bale sent his troops north to track down those sun spirits, she's been haunting this area. We can hardly get any work done thanks to her, but the soldiers all think we're crazy. Worse, fewer and fewer workers show up for their shifts. I don't have to remind you that if these waterworks fail, all of Cornwall will be bone dry, and a true drought will devastate us all. Please, find this river ghost, and see what we can do to put her spirit to rest. You know what? I'm kind of curious about this. Old woman of the river. I haven't really need. I am unstoppable here. I wish I brought irresistible sweep instead, but neither here nor there. There's not that many knockdowns. There's like the random meteor, but that's really it, so now it's funny watching all the pets just shadow step to me simultaneously. Hecate robe. Okay, that quest may have spawned in some new enemies for me to go after. Where there hadn't been any before. Oh, there's also a bunch of Cornin over here where there hadn't been before. I don't mind. Again, it makes the Vanquish more valuable. By rewarding me with more gold, because it gives you amount of gold based on enemies slain at the end of the Vanquish. Well, there was a meteor. Yeah, you're the culprit of them too. May have stripped enchantment, but you didn't strip enchantment me. That was your mistake. Apparently this is what the old woman of the river wants. So, sure, why not? I am using it for more armor right now, although technically it's a bit redundant with Stand Your Ground since there is an armor cap. I forget exactly what it is, but it's somewhat near here. And by which I mean the 20s. For skills that add additional armor. If that was not clear what I was talking about. Ooh. And I got a gold out of it. That's exciting. Never surrender, you say. That's good skill. I don't really use it that much, though. Wow. Okay, these guys have dropped a total of 2 golds for me now. That's pretty cool. Hey, Vanquish finished. 1,306 experience and gold and Sunspear promo points. Bring my Sunspear promo points almost up to 60k. It will be, I'm sure, after I turn in this Zaishen quest. As a reminder, 50,000 is the maximum you need for a legendary legendary Spear Marshal. So I'm a very legendary Spear Marshal. I haven't even finished all of the Vanquishes that get you Sunspear points either. Anyway, I'm going to go talk to Yartu over here. Forget Me Not. Ooh, that's a max Forget Me Not. That's might be useful. The last of them, this is not. My words you must heed. In the drought and the hunger, the sunset of our times are foretold. Upon the world, nightfall shall reign. Herald the new dawn as only true heroes can. Powerful artifacts will I trade in return for corn and trophies. Accept this reward. Bring more corn and trophies from the field of battle if you can. Oh. And now this is a collector that collects corn and pendants for, like, while enchanted gear and stuff. Or just, like, random things, but... That's an interesting shield-like idol. That's an interesting shield-like storm artifact. Huh. That's fully modded. This rod. Fascinating. Well then, that's an NPC I did not know about, but here we are. Floodplain of Mahnkelon. Now vanquished. That's a lot of map territory to cover too. Got a bunch more. Like, these are probably all Sunspear promo points as well. I don't know what I did that I had so many. Vitendi Valley. This is going to be an interesting Vanquish. I think there's a lot of territory here that I haven't gotten to yet. I'm not quite sure when that will be. The Hidden City of Adashim. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff here that I'm looking forward to having done. The Alkali Pan was quite the trek. Shadow Ravines is a big zone too. But I am getting closer to being done with the with all these vanquishes with each passing one that I do. That's how it works, right? I'm looking forward to getting Latenda Bog done as well. I do really like the Latenda Bog zone, but I'm looking forward to doing that because then I will have finished the vanquishing of Easton, which will be exciting. Let's go to Embark Beach. That's where I can get my rewards. I'm going to run an ad break while I clear out my inventory, though. Now, where is the nearest... I guess over here. That's a max too much information, but... I don't really care about that mod much. Where am I storing these Drake Flesh chunks? Over there. I do want this max Forget Me Not. I'm going to salvage these Hecate Tongues. Yeah, they give me a decent amount of glittering dust. And yeah, some scales from that. It's often worth salvaging trophies. That's not always true, but it often can be. A Fiery Gladius. I don't think you can salvage the Fiery off of that. I don't really have a need to. I've got plenty of Fiery weapons, or fiery swords in particular. Mostly fiery dragon swords across my characters. Okay, merchant now. I don't mind having confirmations, but it can be a little annoying on occasion. Okay. I'm going to just drag these over here because I'm going to make use of them. Excellent work. The Zaishen admire your dedication. Yeah. That's just going to keep climbing and climbing. I don't know where it's going to ending up. Courageous Delver. This is going to go up a lot higher once I start doing more dungeons on this guy. I'm definitely going to need to spend some time in dungeons, though. Hey, Anonymous Cheer. Thank you for the bits. Slowly working my way up on treasure chests, I guess. I don't know why I'm looking through titles, but... Canthan Trailblazer, Tyrion. Yeah, Elonian's slowly climbing as well. So, let's see, I've done 19 of 34 Elonian Vanquishes, 28 of 54 Tyrion, and 15 of 33 Canthan. Okay, well, let's switch over to capping monk elites. That is very specific language for this game. If you didn't know what I was talking about, it'd probably be very confusing. How do I want to proceed? I guess by leaving the guild hall and looking up my list of monk elites. So let's see. I've just gotten like some Perdition Rock stuff. Yeah. Okay. So Amity, Aura of Faith. I need to get that one correct. Correct self. Just plop that in there. Yes. This is going to be a question mark. Where's going to be the best place to get Aura of Faith? Yeah, Coventina the Matron, Willow the Unpleasant. Oh, Iceflow has a random Mersat boss. A Mersat monk boss. Interesting. Aura of Faith apparently has some ordering particularities with Spirit Bond. Okay, so I can go after the Mersat monk boss in Iceflow. Also, Ailey the Innocent during a little help from above. Where am I in the Warren Kryta? I don't remember where this is relative to other things, but it's got to be before. I don't quite want to go that far. That sounds like a giant pain in the rear end, if I'm being blunt about it. So let's instead... do I want to go to Iceflow, or do I want to just do, like... Ring of Fire and hope to get lucky? Yeah, let's just go to Iceflow. Okay, so there's like 2 spots just to the west of Thunderhead Keep. that are probably the best ones to check. This elites that only Mersat have kind of suck to capture sometimes. Gonna be blunt about this. Hi THK. We're going over into these areas right over here. Apparently this character's been kind of around the southern edge. I don't quite know why, but here we are. Yeah, let's just keep doing whatever this is. I want Shatterstone. And, see, I have Maelstrom. That's good. Am I inflicting cracked armor with anybody? Silly bar. Happy to keep silly bars around, though. Don't seem to be, so I'm not going to worry about the seeping thing. This is a really long snare. Actually, I'm going to bring glowing ice. That's what I'm going to do. Or should I switch to a build that has me infused on top? That's fire, energy, storage, or air magic? I think I'm going to stick with water. Okay. Let's just go this way and see if I get lucky, I guess. This might take several attempts, if I'm being blunt about it, because this area can be dumb. Power leak. How dare you power leak me? Wow, my energy got wrecked. The heck? Don't power leak me, bro. Excellent. Okay, well, whatever. They're dead. That's the important thing. This is not the best team. I've decided this right now. It's not the best team. I'm trying to get your elite. Random whatevers. The thing that's really awkward about this particular boss is that it's not a unique named boss. It's just a Mersat boss. And so you kind of end up having to go around a bit. Wait, one sec. Brain considerations. Yeah, so the first spot is up here, and then the next spot is like over there. Wait. No, how's this? Yeah, okay. I think this water area is like on the other side of that. I was just thinking I need to see if Shield of Deflection. Okay, this is a Prophecies. Does it have a different spawn location than? No, it's Ring of Fire. I need to go to Ring of Fire anyway. If I don't find this boss here, I think I might just go Ring of Fire and attempt to get it there. I have to go to the Ring of Fire anyway. Okay, we've got a Karn. There's just too much crap over here. Ow. They use physical resistance, which lowers their armor against what I'm selling, which is elemental damage. Which I kind of appreciate them for. I'm not looking forward to having to... oh, there's so many skills I'm going to have to capture from friggin' Ring of Fire. Okay, well. I was hoping maybe we would fight a smaller group, but no. We're here with the entire army of Jade and a ludicrous quantity of other members of the Mersat army, I guess. I was expecting them to be doing more, if I'm being honest, though. Well, alright then. And you go down. That was less threatening than I was expecting it to be. I don't know why. Okay, so like I said, I saw the cairn up that way. It's the Jade Armor, Devastating Hammer boss. There's other places Devastating Hammer though. So okay, and that's the Elementalist boss. So I need to go to the Ring of Fire anyway for Shield of Deflection. So I think I might just go in there with 2 Sickness of Capture and kind of hope to get a little lucky with some of my boss spawns. Maelstrom is really nice. I don't know. Let's drop a few things. So I can bring a second Signet of Capture. I do kind of still want to be running this. I'm going to just mistform it up, I think. Or, you know what? No, I'm going to Ward Against Harm. Because this will give us a bunch of, like, 50 armor against elemental damage, which will really help with some of the enemies that we'll be facing. I think I'm okay with this arrangement of skills. Okay, do I need to clear out my inventory? Not really. This is maybe not an optimal team configuration, but I guess if it's too inoptimal, we'll get badly wrecked right here and everything will... And I'll just restart and stop worrying about it. Cartography in these areas is a nightmare and a half. I do wish that they had made explorable versions of like all the maps and prophecies like they did in the future campaigns. That was a really good move in the future ones, but here we are. Good old prophecies being prophecies, I guess. So, to be clear, I'm here for 2 elites, Shield of Deflection and Aura of Faith. Shield of Deflection is specifically only in this map. I could have gotten Aura of Faith in the previous map. It's possible that it may have spawned off of one of the enemies there. Let's see, I can still potentially go for the Eidolon here as well. Our Wall of Spirits is caught your attention, I see. This area can be a little nasty. Okay, I'm cool with this. Maelstrom is gonna do business over here. I mean, I'm trying to get as much damage on this Ether Seal as possible. Really, the best way to deal with Ether Seals is to come in here with a bunch of like warriors and dervishes and paragons and stuff. And load it up with adrenaline skills. A bunch of adrenaline skills. Or technically, you could use a Signet Mesmer or something as well. I should probably go ahead and see about trying to get some of that infusion business going on, though. Of course you stripped my attunement. What else would you do? But I needed that for my energy. Oh well. Odalin the Displeased. Okay. I think that's a Necromancer boss, but I could be mistaken. What I do know that I want to do is I want to go inside there so I can talk to the seer. I may have to take the long route, though, depending upon where the other boss that I'm coming here for is decided to chill out. Interesting choice of words there. You don't really chill out in this place, given that it is, in fact, very volcanic. You get my meaning, I assume. Ward Against Harm does add a lot of additional defense. Very useful in that regard. But yeah, the Seer will give us a quest to get the Eidolon. And I personally would like to get some more stuff infused, since I have like what? This set of armor is infused. This set is infused. This set is infused. But I got like a bunch of gloves here that aren't infused, and I've got a couple headpieces that aren't. Yeah, I mean, if I'm here anyway, I might as well try to get stuff infused, so. Don't hurt nobody. Except the people who care about that grammar usage. Oh, that's weird, because that's an enchantment. Oh, wow. I can't really do much to spirits. Fascinating. Hello, Volg Painbrain. How are you today? Looty. That's a spike trap boss, I believe. If I'm not mistaken. No, I have 2 necromancers. I can see why you'd think that, though. I actually have 2 necromancers and 2 rich lists. It is a bit of a wonky team, though, isn't it? Also, hello. How are you doing? Two Sky, I guess? I'm guessing. Hope you're doing well today. Is that Backbreaker? I think this guy might be Backbreaker. Well, are you... Well, I may never know. Guess he's dead. I'll probably have to come back here, though, if he is. I don't know why they had to stick so many elites in... Well, okay. They stuck so many elites in missions at the end of Prophecies because they made a bajillion elites. Well, a decent number of elites. And then they made you not get any of them until extremely late in the game. And then they had to put all of the elites in like these ladder zones, and everything got really compressed. That's what happened. Am I better off just wanting this guy? Not really. Man, monk bosses have Mersat bosses have so much armor. I just hope that the monk boss is not at the very end spot. Okay, well, let's try to stop this ether seal. The bip is a nice gesture, but it's not really getting off, unfortunately. Okay. What would be best? The best thing would be to have Grun, I think? Whatever, the one boss that I need really close by. Rather than, like, way back in this area. But that can spawn there, too. I'm looking for both a Shield of Deflection and or a Faith, for those who may be unfamiliar, but I'm dealing with a bunch of random spawns because Prophecies. Okay, so some Breeze Keepers. There's, like, 3 different... Yeah, it's not Jith. Jith Spray Burst. I think that might be the Elementalist boss. Yeah, it is. Ether Prodigy. I already have that, so it's kind of redundant. I.e. not useful. But there's Migraine is the Mesmer one of these. And then Ether Prodigy is Jith, and then Shield of Deflection is the Monk one. That is the extent of Breezekeeper bosses. Get Maelstrommed. Ugh. Did I not bring any hex removal? I brought hex removal. Talcor has hex removal. Quite literally in the form of remove hex. Okay, so if I do want to do the bonus, I am going to need to bust down these ether seals here. Okay, Coventina the Matron's right there, so that's good, because that, I think, is the monk boss that I want for the one skill that I want to get off of them. Okay, well, let's just focus on this one. Oh, these things are so resilient. They don't have too bad armor, actually. They just drain your energy like nobody's business. Let's actually pull back. We have a lot of spirits, so those can do some decent damage here. I just want some of my backline to be able to recover some energy. Let the Shadow Songs and whatnots of the world take care of that mess. Okay, Anton, are you... Nope, you're just being defensive. I can't just go through the front door as much as I would like to, because I do need to go through the back door in order to find the other boss that I want. But I also want to do the bonus here, because I want to get... Yeah, he went full on... full Russian. Because I want to be able to get some more pieces of armor infused. Oh well. At least the wards stay up, so we get some additional protection against some of this elemental damage. Okay, that wasn't too bad. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to break down this front door, and then I'm going to have to walk around. Because the other boss I need is presumably back here somewhere, and so I'm going to have to go around to get to it. It's going to be really annoying. But again, I need to bust open these ether seals for the bonus. So... And I want to get more stuff infused. So here we are. These ether seals are a lot easier, because they're not on ether towers, draining all of our MP and stuff. Cool. Now that we've opened the front door, let's go around the back. Because that's how it's going to go today. I do not like lava spitters. At least these lava spitters aren't as bad as they used to be when incendiary arrows was a preparation that set things on fire and interrupted them when your arrows hit. It had terrible uptime. But my goodness, when you have a small army of spiders doing that, this legitimately, I think that this back route could be more dangerous than the supposedly safer front route. Just because of all of the interrupts and stuff. My damage against these spiders is atrocious. I mean, I know it's because I'm an elementalist and they're rangers and they have a bajillion armor against elemental damage, but still. Okay. Now, if memory serves, I'm going to have to just fight through, like, all of this junk until I can get back into these lava pits. Oh man, I do so little damage with my elemental stuff against these guys. It's painful. Yeah, they're using Drider's defenses. That gives them a huge, huge boost of armor against elemental. Kind of brings me up to the why bother territory almost. Yeah, I'm just better off wanding. Because my wand deals chaos damage, which is not elemental, so it goes past all of the additional crazy armor. Now, imagine this, except instead of an AoE attack that sets you on fire sometimes like this, every time they shot you, it would interrupt you and set you on fire. And this area would just absolutely eat you alive because they just could be auto-attacking your monks. And preventing them from being able to do anything. As a long time ago, I like the changes they made to incendiary arrows overall. It definitely made this area a lot less terrifying. Whoops. That was the Windows key, not the Alt key. That threw me off. Well, at least I wasn't trying to get Cassius. There's a boss with incendiary arrows. I'm going to have to come back here as a ranger to get at some point. If I don't already have it, I doubt I do. There's a chance that I do because I have more rangery stuff on this character to an extent. But there's the boss there that I'm going to want, hopefully, to have spawn for me at some point. Yeah, we're looking down. So from right here, we're actually looking down on the Citadel area. This is a very loopy, as in like it loops around sort of place. Has loops. This is the part where I start getting better results by wanding again. Which is weird. Yeah, well, part of it is because they're rangers, which automatically have additional armor. Part of it is that they keep using Drider's defenses, which gives them a bunch more. Like, most of my party is not dealing elemental damage, so it's more effective, but... Okay, this is the part where we come up on Lava Imps, which is part of why I wanted Ward Against Harm. I'm okay with those spiders attacking our spirits. That seems fine to me. Okay, I have to be careful. Like, legitimately, narratively, they say that it is less dangerous to take this back route to get in. This back route around through lava pits and stuff to get in here. And to some extent, it's true in that this front door area right here is really, really deadly. But it is substantially longer, and there are a ton of extremely deadly enemies in here. So I'm not entirely convinced that that's the case. Like, look at how much damage they just did to my party. Now, I just got Ward Against Harm up, which is going to dramatically decrease what they can do. Okay, hopefully that's far enough to get my party out of meteor shower range. I'm going to drag everybody over here. But these lava imps are no joke. Like, they will wreck you. Between insane mind burn damage. Pite Spit Spew. I think that might be the migraine boss. I want to get close enough to check. Yeah, okay, it is. Well, that's not the one that I want. Yeah, Panic would also be good against him. But they're still friggin' terrifying. If you ask me. Also, hello, Ravager. How are you doing? I wish the AI was a little bit smarter about not standing in meteor showers. A bit smarter about not sending in meteor showers, I should say. It's true. But I'd rather let a single skill through and stop all of the rest of them. If I'm having to make that choice between that and a couple skills slipping through. Melik the Virtuous. Like, the issue isn't absorbing a mind burn, it's absorbing 4 at once. We have very different playstyles, you and I. I suspect... Ah, there's the boss that I need. Or one of the bosses I need. Like, I suspect that what you tend to do does generally result in being, like, a more powerful thing. That's not necessarily what I'm trying to accomplish, so... But we've had this discussion before. Okay, Grun. Let's work our way through your Reversal of Fortune spam. Okay. Elite 1. Now I just need to make my way over to Elite 2. It is easier to go in the back door. Sure. I understand. Like, we have different player motivations. And you're just, like, what you want to do is just get through stuff, like, as efficiently as you... Or, like, mostly efficiently, right? With a high degree of efficiency. Here, have a mediocre shield of deflection, Livia. It'll last you 3 seconds. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I get you. I'm not familiar with Rackway. Please don't stand in meteor showers. Okay, well. What's the best way through here? Mm-hmm. Oh, my inventory's full. Let's salvage some things. Paragons really have too much interclass synergy. Like, they're... I was saying this earlier, and I stand by it, that Paragons are like arcane in Magic the Gathering. I have a few points I can drop into protection prayers. I don't know if that makes that. Well, it makes it mildly better. They work really well with themselves, but I want you to play more of them. Hold the whole splice and arcane mechanic and all that from Magic the Gathering. Kamigawa. That's what Paragons reminded me of. Oh, more phantoms. Sure, why not? We can have more phantoms. Well, I had energy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Exactly. So it's like more Paragons, more stuff going off, and more Blazing Finales, and the Finale of Restoration, and whatever else it is that you're using. Like, finales were a mistake, just a design mistake, if you ask me. But in general, I think the leadership was also a mistake. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, I'm using General Morgan just for, like, a kind of, here's some support with some useful damagey stuff thrown in for good measure. Yeah, an internal cooldown would help with finales. Yeah, that's... See, but that's kind of endemic of the whole misunderstanding how finales would work, right? And, like, refrains, too, are kind of ridiculous, just because it's, for the most part, relatively easy to keep them up all the time. But a lot of them are not as, like, synergistically powerful. I know. Yeah, it just goes crazy. But, like, Paragons are the ultimate example of, like, internal synergy gone haywire. Man, Bip is ridiculous, too. That's the thing. Okay, yeah, we can take this Jade Bow down. That's fine. But, like, the design of Paragon, or the designer of leadership, encouraged them to make Paragons affect multiple things, and then they made a bunch of unstrippable, powerful buffs, and it's just like, maybe you went a little far here. Like, I appreciate you wanted to do something really interesting, but making tactics into a profession was maybe not the best choice here. I like the idea, but I mean, these are my personal opinions about the design. But I find myself not the biggest fan of the design of Paragons. But I think, honestly, as much as I love Guild Wars 1, I think they probably kind of ended it at a good time in terms of design space use and stuff. Because it was real hard for them to come up with new professions and new skills for existing professions that were not just ridiculous. They needed to plan a lot better about how they were going to do that, but I think that they were again, like, this is looking in without any insider knowledge, it looks like they were thinking so much about how do we make prophecies work that they didn't think about how do we make the game after prophecies work once we've made prophecies, and how do we make prophecies play nicely with it. And you can see that with like the pacing, where prophecies is just really slowly paced compared to the other ones, and it's like there's no good spot to drop you in. Ether Seal. Let's take this down. I would agree. It's not necessarily power creep so much as it is like expanding design, like expanding what the professions can do creep, if that makes sense. Like, yeah, exactly. It's like if you look at blood magic, part of what makes blood spike a problem is because they gave us so many skills that were life steal skills, and like blood spike is a problem, but yeah, no, exactly, and that's exactly. Yeah, we're on the same page here about. I mean, they did what they could to try to kill it. Yeah, that makes sense. But there's just too many lifesteal skills. That's part of the issue. Yeah. And part of that is they just gave us way too many lifesteals, like you're saying. And it's like that's where I need to move my heroes over this way so they can actually effectively do anything. Actually, let's go back up here. Actually, we're better off just taking out these jade bows first. Yeah. It's kind of a last resort, mechanically speaking, I feel. Well, part of it is because they just were like, blood magic's about life stealing. It's like, well, it's also about sacrificing health to do stuff. But blood magic just has poor definition mechanically anyway. Because a cost is not a design, if that makes sense. You can't just say, oh, it's about sacrificing health to do things. And so they like lashed on a couple of things, but all those things ended up being kind of powerful for the most part. So then that leaves them in an awkward spot where it's like, okay, well, how do you want to approach this sort of thing? I want to approach this by maelstroming this ether seal. Yeah, these guys are awkward because they're actually on this side, so you have to run around these things if you're trying to go the other way. This has been one of the more awkward runs of this mission, but whatever, it works. But yeah, no, it's interesting. Somebody yesterday was asking me what I thought the best designed profession was. And like, in my opinion, the worst designed one is the Paragon. And we can talk about that if people want. But one of the things that I was observing is like, it's hard for me to have a concrete opinion on that because there's been so many skills that it just gets really messy. And so like, I think when Prophecies first came out, most of the professions were relatively elegantly designed, but then as games kept coming out and they kept having to add skills to them, yeah, Ritualist's is also real bad. The one minor plus I give to the Ritualist is, I guess, at least attacking spirits technically is a way to interact with them, but they both suffer from the problem of we gave you a bunch of stuff that you can't interact with, right? Where did this Mersat Elementalist come from? But I agree. Ritualist has no focus, and Paragon's too parasitic. And I mean, they're both too parasitic mechanically, where it's like, oh, and use all of our profession mechanics, and the other things, like, other stuff interacts with other things, so it's... Yeah, spawning power is not a very great... It doesn't do nothing, but it doesn't do much. Yeah, Divine Favor is really useful for healing skills, but Yeah, part of it is like Ritualist is just trying to, it like covers too much territory, and so it's like it doesn't have any sort of cohesive direction except for like a few specific things that are extremely powerful. Okay, so I want to get this headpiece infused. Which gloves? Let's just start with these fire gloves. Yeah, I know what you mean. They had really good clear identities at the beginning. One of the things that I really appreciate about Monk actually is healing prayers. Yeah, healing prayers is designed so that way most of the stronger non-elite skills cannot target yourself, which makes the monk better at healing everyone but themselves, which I think is really cool. Okay, so I'm going to get these two pieces infused. And like if we're talking pre-factions sort of meta as well. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, now I have a little bit more infusion going on. Yeah, because you just didn't have the depth in any given profession. Or like, because the skill limits were significant. Yeah, where it's just like prophecies only. Because it really does change what you have access to. Yeah. You had like heal party, and technically back then divine healing did exist, but it was much different. Because they weren't running like restore condition or something. Because back in the day, monk lines were like word of healing and restore condition. Yeah, because you didn't have as much like healing burst splashes healing around. Yeah, you have all the there's a lot of little sources of healing for the party if you want them. Yeah, recuperation, life, yeah, protective with Ally, etc. Yeah, there's lots of things that heal the party, little bits here and there. Yeah, well, no, I've got template. No, not my template code. My template code's worthless. EW pre-builds the Blinding Prodigy right here. The Healing Breeze, Ether Prodigy, Heal Party. I need to stop running. Bar. Like, that was a legit build, and you'd want that for the energy management on that. Like, Prophecies was way better balanced than everything that came after. I like some of the interesting stuff. Shadow Steps were a mistake, though. I like some of the stuff that they did with them. In terms of, like, some builds were kind of like, this is neat, rather than necessarily, like, good for the game. Like, the Aura of Displacement Blackout Mesmer was a really cool build in terms of how it was utilizing mechanics and stuff. I don't know that it was good for the game. I'm just going to finish this mission. I'm so close to being done, I might as well. I kind of automatically on autopilot for that. That's a heck of a lot of... Maybe I've given them enough time that they won't end me with random junk. Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to just play with prophecy skills sometimes. Hey, thanks for the bits. Okay, what is up with this geometry right here? Get over here, Karen the Smug. We need to teach you what... I don't know. We need to do something here. Fight ya. I like Shield of Deflection. It's not great, but I enjoy it. I just like the bubble of protection visual effect that it has. It's just like, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea what PvP looks like these days in terms of meta. But it's like pre-Dervish and all that too. Because Dervish had a huge impact. Well, and remember when Avatar of Landu just straight up made you immune to conditions? That was a ridiculous time. Okay, what elite do I want to go after next? That's my question. The condition immunity one? I mean, all of the avatars were cooler when they were more powerful without 100% uptime. But I also understand why they ended up with 100% uptime, because people were kind of like wanting it. I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, should you give people what they want? Sometimes the answer is yes, sometimes the answer is no. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wasn't PvPing a whole lot by that point. Mostly just because of, I don't think my guild was as active at that time, but... Yeah. No, for sure. Being immune to Deep Wound is a big deal. Plus, dervishes have that built-in extra 25. But this is before... I don't know. When did shelter, like Soul Twist shelter stuff, really start becoming popular? Because I think it was technically around back in Factions Release, wasn't it? Here, let's not skills. I mean, this is not full Soul Twist. This is a weird offensive-y Soul Twist, but that's the sword I want is by campaign. That's a bunch of ranger skills. Factions, campaign. Yeah, no, because Soul Twist is totally capped there, and Shelter's totally. Obviously, it's not as useful in PvP, because it has a much longer activation time in PvP. Yeah, there it is. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it was also like 25 energy too, wasn't it? At one point. Hang on, what do I want to go after next? I got Shield of Deflection and I got Aura of Faith. I guess Life Barrier. Where do I go capture that? Lornar's Pass or Frozen Forest? Frozen Forest it is. National Hardwood. Any moment you feel like loading this wiki. Yeah, I think I want to go from Copperhammer Mines, because there's a spot that I can look at it through the wall and then a couple of other spots. Okay, take care. Thanks for dropping by. Okay, Copperhammer Mines. Here we are. I do have some smiting prayers on this character, but again, this character started as a Floppermer Watchet, so I have more stuff. Floppermer Watchet is a very indescript term, isn't it? I'm gonna go with yes. I'm gonna do Mist Form for no good reason. I should probably bring Blurred Vision, because it's a good skill. Yeah. I want the quicker recharge of Ice Spikes, honestly. Okay, which direction is the Frozen Forest? This way. Nice to have a little bit more infusion going on. That was the expression I felt I needed to convey when I realized I was going to have to go into Mineral Springs to capture Shield of Judgment. Because it's just such a trek. I mean, I could arguably go get another thing infused there. Okay. Rotwood is not the one I need. I know who Rotwood is, and... yeah, it's not the one I need. I know that. Of course he had a Shield of Judgment me. Every time I cast this, I heal everybody for 13 health. Isn't that incidental? Hello, Fear. Heh. Nah, I have just water. I personally don't enjoy the taste of alcohol. Of course there's ice spikes there. More Signet of Judgments. We are using... no. Sandra? Yeah, okay. We were using Painful Bond. Good. Oh. Yeah, I get you. Hey, Boreal Cube Claw. Supporting the cubists over there. Yeah, I guess you probably could hear the sound of my drinking. It was probably done right next to the microphone. Maybe I should lean back a little bit. Probably I'll forget. Havenwood. I think that's the guy I need. I think Haven was the guy I need. So then I can get Life Barrier. If I blind these guys, they deal less damage to me. That's how this works. Man, even with the health regen from Ice Spear, those guys can be a little obnoxious. Barrel Storm Siege. Hey, Arvikar Brave. Mind leaving us alone? That'd be great. Okay, where is... there's the Arvikar Guile. You can have a Maelstrom, my friend. Don't know what I think of this version of Mistform or not. Whenever you cast an elemental spell, all non-spirit allies are healed for a good chunk of that spell's cost. Okay. Havenwood. No, wait. Havenwood's the wrong boss. Okay. Hang on. Was it again? No, not the Pinesville boss locations. Eshnol Hardwood. I need Eshnol Hardwood. Okay, so it could be there, or I think there's a location here and a location up there, and then there's like a location down there or something. Can I actually see through that wall? Far enough to identify if there's anything over there that I need. The answer seems to be that that is slightly beyond the geographical reach of my nameplate. viewing skills. Certainly seems to be the case anyway. Oh, ice imps. Hey, ice imps, how do you feel about a taste of your own friggin' medicine? Yeah. Deal with getting maelstromed. Friggin' ice imps. Like, this adds a lot of incidental healing, like small healing packets. I wonder what sort of regen this works out to. This is like almost 13 HP every, like, what, 2 seconds? Is like almost kind of a mending or something on everybody. Because I have to wait for the aftercast delay. Okay, Ashnal Hardwood. The boss I need is over there, so that's good. This is probably a little bit better than I think of it as being. I need a more expensive spell. But you can see, like, every 2 seconds, 13 health. That's roughly 6 health a second. Which is 3 pips of health regen, so... And that's not nothing. That adds up. And that's just continuously casting the one skill, so... Anything that's more expensive heals for more. Interesting to think about what that math kind of actually means. Life Barrier is one of those skills that I'm not especially fond of. There's something so satisfying about maelstroming an ice imp. Actually, this boss needs to go down. Okay. Cool. That captures that skill. Let's see. Do I want to just go get Shield of Judgment now? Or do I want to look at what's next in Protection Prayers lists? Ooh, I have Mark of Protection I need to get somewhere. I say somewhere because there's a lot of different places I can go get Mark of Protection. The most interesting one is Kefkat Marrow Feast. It's also on... Oh, yeah, I guess so. That would be possible. There are a ton of locations that this spawns. Bolus Hillshaker. Yeah, let's go find Roth Yak Slapper. About the Delrima War Camp. I'm gonna switch over to fire for this too. Yeah, I need to change my skills. Is what I need to do here. Drop that life barrier. Slap on a good old Signato capture. And, I don't know. I like Firestorm. I'm just going to run... I'm just going to run a dual tune Fire bar inspired by the old days. Yeah, this feels good. This feels sufficiently prophecies-ish. And probably mildly terrible, but I don't care. Ardenine, what do you mean by show the way in my interface? Do you mean the skills at the bottom, or like there's this thing that pops them up so you can see skill descriptions? That's sometimes useful. So there's a display here, so you can display as large grid, which has them absolutely friggin' enormous. There's the list, which shows them like this, so you can see like costs and stuff. Which actually, now that I'm thinking about it, is useful for finding skills that have overcast, because it does display the overcast here. I tend to not like this list as much, just because it takes up a lot of vertical space. So I usually use small grid like this. And then you can change the sort over here. Sort by attributes is usually what I use, but you can do things like sort by profession, recharge time if for some reason you want to find all of your 2-second recharge time skills. Okay. I don't know. Hopefully I answered your question. Otherwise, you can actually change the user interface around by using this. Over here on options. Okay, let's go find ourselves a yak slapper. Ooh. I like this music. But in general, I like the music in this game, so here we are. It's no surprise that I like this one. Thorgal Bludgeon Hammer. That'd be useful if I was going for warrior elites. Because I think he probably has one of them. Let's see if Yak Slapper's over this way. There's a ton of different spawn locations. I could probably go over this entire map and eventually find him. Might actually aggro some dudes down there. I'd like to avoid it. Ah, Roth Yak Slapper. How very convenient. You're right over here. Actually, I should probably cover with Elemental Attunement because it has a quicker recharge, but it's also distinctly better, so... meh? I'll get this meteor shower off eventually, you'll see. Roth has marker protection on. There we go. Marker protection acquired. Now I, too, can make somebody mildly difficult to kill for 10 seconds. Okay. Yeah, there can be a lot of fun with Ellie, but I definitely enjoy changing builds around a lot, too. Okay, let's see. What do I want to go after next? Level 4, I think? Is that level 4 or level 14? I think it's level 4. That's going to be a while before you can really do cool stuff with Elementalist, because you have a lot of attribute points and skills to get. But, let's see. Shield of Regen is obtainable in other places. I think that are probably a little bit easier, so I'll wait to get that one. So on to Smiting Prayers. Nightfall Factions, Prophecies, Shield of Judgment, and Signet of Judgment has a ton of places to get. There's an easier place in Factions, so I'm going to get it there. So that means it is time. It is time for our long trek into Mineral Springs. Or I could wait and get it in Winds of Change, but let's go ahead and trek up to Mineral Springs. Again. Mineral Springs, okay. Step 1, reapply my Elemental Attunement. Step 2, Signet of Capture. I'm going to keep partying like it's 2005. Do I want to change anybody here, though? I feel like these guys have been doing fine for me, so I think I'm going to keep it up. As weird as some of these bars are. And they are. They are. Anton alone is a interesting case. Because I have a soul twist that's not really a defensive soul twist, which I'm enjoying. Eventually, this meteor shower will get off. And then a few seconds later, it'll even hit. Oh, my firestorm. How dare you? I like targeting Nashers kind of early because they are very annoying. We've got some giant herders coming in here to knock us down. Yeah. Man, Rodgorts is so fun. I like Rodgorts. Firestorm is so cool. Maybe. But keep in mind, I have one monk. So this is like a couple of offensive spirits. This is a Signet of Spirits with a little bit of healing thrown in. This is a BIP with some healing thrown in. And then this is just get people around faster. I just use this build like everywhere or whatever. And then there's, I don't know, disruption-y stuff that way. And then Anton's just doing whatever. He's being an onslaught assassin. But it might be a little support heavy. Siege Ice Golems, how do you feel about Firestorm? It looks like you don't enjoy it much. I like how these Siege Ice Golems are actually weak to fire. Notice my flare does more than 74 damage to them. Well, I also have a bajillion offensive spirits. We are walking around with 6 offensive spirits, so that helps. But yeah. But I like that the friggin' ice golems are actually like less than 60 armor against fire damage. They are legitimately weak to fire. And it's like, that rarely happens in this game, so it's really cool to see, and I really like it. Yeah, they're super obnoxious as melee. As melee, they really make you want to bring I Am Unstoppable so they can stop knocking you down with Water Trident. That's why Shadow Steps are nice, I guess. Actually, let's just bum rush this zone transition. Or, you know, get body blocked and crippling anguished. Cool. So you guys don't want me to go in through there. I get it. I get it. There we go. Now I can get in to good old Mineral Springs. Hi, Avikara. I hope you're doing well today. You are plentiful. Let me hide behind these spirits a little bit, and maybe I'll even be able to get this meteor shower off. Wow, they have Savage Slash, but they let that go. Fascinating. I kind of wish Firestorm had gotten the Breath of Fire treatment, just because I like Firestorm's visuals better than Breath of Fire. For those who may be unfamiliar with what I'm talking about, Breath of Fire right here is 5 energy, 2 second cast time, 10-second recharge for 5 seconds of 46 damage each second. Firestorm is slightly less damage. I want to reapply those. Slightly less damage, more energy, longer recharge, longer duration by twice, and doesn't have overcast. This is just, I think, a stronger skill, though, because A, more damage. Things are going to run out of the area of effect, and the quicker recharge and lower base energy costs are both really nice. So I kind of wish that those modifications had been done to Firestorm, and it would have been put in that spot just because I like Firestorm better. But anyway, that's my random ramblings on that. Let's go the upper route this time and figure out that I'm wrong. Just hoping to get lucky with Avocaro spawn locations. I do want to go actually and get some more infusion because I have more pieces of armor to infuse, but that's neither here nor there. Ah. There must have been a strip enchantment in there too. Yeah, I think Avocaro guy. I'll use strip enchantment. That wrecks my energy. I have a very energy intensive build, but that's taken care of very nicely with dual attunements. Forget the exact name of the boss I'm looking for, but I'm sure it'll become quite clear once I find them. Well, I guess we need to go through these Avocaro, don't we? Probably. My goodness, so much ignite arrows, it's crazy. Ooh, skill point. I need those. These rangers have so much additional armor against all elemental damage. Whew. Part of it is a lot of my team is very single target-y. Or, you know, Spiteful Spirit and these guys aren't grouping up enough to really allow that to work to the full extent of its capabilities. They gave me a lot of vests. I'm noticing. I think there might be a spot where I can see a possible spawn for a boss location somewhere through things. I don't know. Let's salvage a couple vests. Ardents are annoying. Yeah, I'm definitely going to run an Assassin's Promise Meteor Shower Glyph of Sacrifice build at some point here. Once I get Assassin's Promise. That's obviously the prerequisite. Can't really run a build with a skill you don't have. But it sounds so much fun. Instant casting meteor showers that recharge when the enemy dies? Like, how is that not cool? It is cool. That's how. That's the answer. I hate Ice Imps as melee. I hate Ice Imps as everything. Ice Imps are just really annoying. Mass getting Mind Frozen and Maelstromed is just painful. So bright here. Hey, there's a tree up there. Interesting. I think that might have been a half cast time on that meteor shower. Oh, boy. That guy got wrecked by it, too. Good times, good times. Sir Honorcrest. Well, okay. Yeah, that's the Flourish boss. I'll need you eventually, too. I have to come up here, like, several times to get all of the elites that are available. I wanted my enchantments. Did you have to take them off of me? Okay. Well, Flourish boss down. But I'm not here for Flourish. I'm here for... Shield of Judgment. Got there. I think this northern route has more spawn locations than the southern one. But I may have to go around further. We'll see. I want to target the Guile first because I want to ideally stop its strip enchantment if I can. Okay. I'm also okay with it landing on not me. Yeah, Shadowsong doing work. Mid-Spring Claw. That sounds like the boss I need. Is it? Boilerworks? Yeah, it is. Excellent. Good. Did not strip all of my useful enchantments away. Cool. Now I can get the elite that I came here for. Which is excellent. I do kind of want to continue on and fight some Ice Imps. And get myself, hopefully... I mean, I'd take an Icy Dragon Sword, too. But hopefully getting myself some more infusion would be the goal. I'm just going down this way in the possibly vain hope that it will activate this Resurrection Shrine here. Because there's a decent chance that the Ice Imps will completely destroy me. They are wont to do that. That's a lot of Avikara. Well, there goes my enchantments. I was using those. What the heck? I'm being vaguely distracted by all the Avocara. Well, Firestorm's doing work, so that's nice. At least we've got Bip. Hey! Hello, the Simmer's Lair. How are you doing today? Let's see. Ice Imp Cave Time. That's good. I'm doing pretty well. Had a successful couple of captures of some skills that could be kind of annoying to get to, which I'm happy about. Going to try to get another round of infusion going on here. We will see how well these ice imps cooperate with my goal of not dying. Oh, a Maelstrom is... yeah. Ice imps. Not really. I don't really do a whole... like, I have done some non-ecto related farming in the past. I haven't really done a whole lot of farming lately, though. I find that just playing the game a bunch gets me all the gold that I really need. Just trying not to die, because I'd like to not wipe here. I don't really care about getting the survival title track on anybody else, but the one character that I've gotten it maxed out on. So that's a pain in the rear end. Get these imps out of here. Yeah, I just don't want to party wipe. Well, all things considered, that was not terrible. Which is that ice imps absolutely destroy everything. Okay, well that was challenge 1. I have speculatively wondered if there's any connection between some of the artifacts in this cave and the old Wizard's Tower and Priest-Searing Ascalon that was kind of off in the mountains. You can see why, but that's more like over here about is where that zone would be. So it would have been more over here, not up here. I wish all of the pre-steering map areas could have been in this, but they're in post-steering, but oh well. Let's see if I get off a meteor shower. Yeah, it's very time consuming. My experience with it, though, honestly, was that it wasn't so much like singular time consuming. It was just, it took enough days of getting quests and stuff to get there. That was what was time consuming about it. More than like it in and of itself, like taking a singular large chunk of time. Does that make sense? Well, I got the Rodgwarts off. That's the important bit. Okay, so if I've learned anything, it's that a Fire Elementalist does a really good job against all of these ice imps that like to clump up. Holy crap, look at how many more there are, though. That's crazy. Well, might as well... Ooh, that was a fast cast on that meteor shower. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, I do want this. I just don't need it yet. But whatever. Oh my goodness, all those numbers. All those beautiful, beautiful dead ice imp numbers. Ah, that was gorgeous. Ah, this is the absolute wrong spot to stand. Where isn't there a maelstrom? It could have been cool to have had an elite skill that you like captured from that location, like the Fallen Wizard's Tower, like a boss there that you went and captured it from or something. Okay. That actually went shockingly well. We did not completely wipe there, and I cannot tell you how many times I've completely wiped trying to get to this spot. It has been many. Okay, infused, infused, infused. Earth still needs to get infused. Which one of these? Let's see, I got fire infused. Let's get water infused next. Yeah, okay. Okay, Seer, let me give you this. Cool. Now those are infused, which is what I came here to accomplish. And that means all of my headpieces are now infused. And I just have 2 arms left to infuse, which, given that I still have a few elites to get here, I'll probably get at some point in time. Okay. I think I might want to move on to factions now. I have Martyr. I got that already. Yeah, I think it's time to move on to factions. Ooh, Blessed Light, you say? Don't mind if I do. Where do I go get Blessed Light? Okay, I can technically get it in the Warren Kryta. Sons blessed of Dwayne in the Archipelagos. Okay, a couple of different spots for it. Okay, it recommends bringing a couple signets of capture because there's another elite nearby, so I will have to act on that. Let's go to Carning Center. Ooh, this is an interesting question. If I were to... Yes, yes. Sorry, that was the excited rumblings of an idea that I liked. Okay, step 1. My inventory is cluttered. Let's declutter it. Actually, let's run an ad break while I do this. That's usually a good idea. Makes it so that way people don't have those annoying pre-roll ads for a little bit. So I'm happy to do that. Ooh, I am full up on hide. Raven staffs. What's in this armor? Radiant minor absorption. I think radiant is worth a little bit. Okay, I don't think tanned hide has any special value, so I'm probably just giving all of that to the merchant. Yeah, radiant stalwart is stalwart. No. And minor wilderness survival, and that's what I thought. Minor absorption is not going to be worth anything because superior isn't. Crafting material trader. Let me guess. Yep, 3 apiece. So that's default value. So I'm just going to merchant them because otherwise I'm spending a lot of time for no particular gain. I prefer to avoid that if I can. Okay. Which seems like a better location to go from? The Cavalon. Okay, yes, from Kavlon, because there's another boss along the way that I can get another elite from. So let's go from Kavlon. Stretching my back a little bit here. Okay, so I like the idea of let's sort by campaign. So I'm going to just use faction skills, I think. That's fun. Okay, so core or in factions. So let's see. I get flare. Ooh, firestorm is core. Heck yeah, I'm going to use some firestorm. And I can do Latoon. Maybe I want to use a different elite though. It's interesting seeing what stuff is in core and what stuff isn't. Okay, factions. You did not add that many elementalist skills, realistically speaking. Interesting. I would have expected more. Huh. Well, here we are. What do I want then? I kind of feel like it's just dual attune is the thing that I'd seems most appealing. I can use second winds as energy management if I wanted to. The question then is, like, what am I spending that energy on? I feel like I don't want second wind here. I feel like that would be a fine energy management skill if I was... Yeah, no, I get you. For sure. For sure. Yeah, huh. A lot of the skills are just, like, you lose Rodgort's Invocation. Which just doesn't seem... Like, prophecies. How are you an elementalist without prophecies? You get Rodgort's Invocation and Chain Lightning? Those are significant skills. I guess you get, like, Bed of Coals here. I just feel like the number of skills is not commensurate between the two. Yeah. You may be right. Shock Arrow. So wait, did this have... Did they? Hang on. So Glowing Gaze, Glowstone... There. Wait. But, wait. Glowing Ice. Where's Glowing Ice? Glowing... Oh, this is weird. I would have assumed that these skills all came in the same expansion, but they don't. So, Shock Arrow must have been changed into this sort of skill. I don't know what it was originally. I think it was just like gain energy if they're attacking or something. Yeah, for sure. It's just interesting because I don't usually think about like what is in this campaign, right? I think I'll roll with Smoldering Embers here. But like looking at these, it's like, okay, here's the core skills, right? And then as soon as I go, okay, so if I do core plus factions, what does that give me? And it's like, I feel like certain very important skills are absent in because they're locked away in prophecies. And it's like, this feels wonky. But I'm really flabbergasted because I did not realize that Shock Arrow, Glowstone, Glowing Gaze, and Glowing Ice were split up like that across. Like if you're missing, like if you're just factions, it gives you this weird set of skills where you're locked out of some really important effects. Or if you're just Nightfall, it's like, well, if you're just Nightfall, you get Glowing Gaze and Glowstone, but you don't get Shock Arrow or the other one, Glowing Ice. Is the same for the other core sets? Do you mean professions, like in terms of what skills are available if you look at core? Obviously, you don't have any core skills for Paragon, but Warrior has a bunch of, like, you can see a bunch of things are in core here. Cleave, Devastating Hammer, 100 Blades. Like, Axe gets really short shrift because you don't get access to Eviscerate except in Prophecies. But for the most part, it's more niche stuff for elites. As for like regular skills, losing Flurry is kind of rough because I like Flurry as an increased attack speed skill, kinda. For some reason, okay, you do get Thrill of Victory, so that's nice. Now does Core have No. Riposte and Deadly Riposte are both in Prophecies. So Prophecies warriors get more tactics skill, or get the riposte skills and tactics for their sword, but you don't get those in the other ones. Factions gives you Dragon Slash and Quivering Blade, which means Nightfall's sword elites are like Crippling Slash and 100 Blades. So you're really restricted in terms of options there. This is definitely interesting to think about. I think it would be, because I could this program right here, right? The codex I can set up the codex here to exclude, like, I can say, okay, just show me faction skills, right? And then I can just bump these numbers really high, like ludicrously high, and go to the codex and hit generate. And this is just going to be the set of faction skills because it's so high, right? So then I can see, like, if I am making a warrior in factions, the axe elites I get access to are Cleave, Triple Chop, and Whirling Axe. The hammer elites are Enraged Smash, Forceful Blow, which I do quite like. And I should get Devastating Hammer as well. Yeah, here's Devastating Hammer. Like, it's just easier for me to parse it when it's like this with the core skills thrown in. You get access to Battle Rage and Primal Rage. Primal Rage needs a PvE only version that's not as weak. Like, this is balanced around PvP, and I think it's probably decent in PvP, but in PvE, it needs to lose the recharge or the take double damage or something. I really want this to be Warrior Onslaught, and it just is not. What I realistically would want is I'd want this to lose the recharge. Dragon Slash, 100 Blades, Quivering Blade, Charge, Auspicious Parry, Shove, Coward. Yeah. This is interesting. You do get E-Surge because they made that core. Mantra of Recovery as well. It probably isn't used these days. I'd have to look up old wiki things. I think Primal Rage was used at one point in time a bunch. It may have been a Team Arenas thing before that got ganked, removed, whatever word you want to use there. I could not tell you what the current state of PvP is, though. I feel like I remember updates saying that they were doing stuff to try to make it more balanced for PvP. But this is really interesting, kind of thinking about what skills you get access to if you're just that campaign. I might have to do some stuff with this at some point. Yeah. Like, because my experience was, here's the set of prophecy skills. I don't know where you can see my hands, but here's a set of prophecy skills. Okay, let's add the faction skills to it. Let's add the Nightfall skills to it. Let's add the Eye of the North skills to it, right? Which Eye of the North has always just kind of been an add-on. But what you get access to if... okay. Yeah, I don't quite know. Primal Rage, I think, used to have different effects, too. So I don't quite know what it may have been. But, like, let's see. Monk, Blessed Light, Boon Signet. I mean, you get Healing Burst, Healing Light, Word of Healing. Wow, your protection prayers is super sparse, though. Your only protection prayers elites are Air of Enchantment, Life Sheath and Shield of Regen. That's really, really narrow. You do get Ray of Judgment, which is solid, but... And Smite Hex. Smite Condition didn't exist yet. I think that was the Nightfall skill. Empathic Removal, Word of Censure, and Martyr. Yeah, this is really interesting to kind of think about. Not having access to Spiteful Spirit is kind of rough. Spoil Victor is not Spiteful Spirit. It just isn't. Icy Veins is pretty cool, though. Elementalist definitely feels like you're missing stuff. The fact that you don't get Chain Lightning is, if you're just factions, Elementalist is really, really rough for what Elementalist wants to do. And of course, no Rodgorts is also kind of brutal. At least you get Obsidian Flame. Obsidian Flame's a good skill. But what else are you doing with Earth? Like Unsteady Ground? Probably. It just feels like your lead options are really, really shallow. But Elementalist overall, I'd kind of want to think about the elite options a bit more on personally. Water Magic looks like it's probably... Yeah. I think Water Magic is... just glancing through it, feels like the strongest of the factions Elementalist sort of attributes. You do at least have Ward against melee. Ward against elements is useful. But you have Shatterstone, which is a fairly strong elite. And you still get Maelstrom, but like that's going to be true and Deep Freeze, but that's going to be true regardless. Blurred Vision is really good. Vapor Blade is useful. Ice Spikes is fine. Icy Prism is useful. Obviously, Assassin and Ritualist have a bunch of stuff here. There's some stuff that they're lacking, but very interesting to think about. Very interesting to think about. I'll do more with this thing eventually. I've just been kind of going through kind of as per normal. I've gotten completely distracted. I just don't feel like doing a bunch of build changing stuff lately. That's definitely possible. You'd have to look a little bit about where things started too, because some of it's difficult to assess the relative strength of the elements when there was the big update in 2012 that did a bunch of tweaking to things. Not necessarily the tweaking I would have done, but that's fine. But they were definitely conscious about trying to add things to water, I think. Vapor Blade, in particular, was a noted thing to try to add some additional damage and stuff to water. Actually, I should look up. No. I love talking about skills. I think that's a more interesting thing than just walking through. Okay, where's this boss? Oh, I want to go around the other way. I do not consider it a derail. I love talking about game design and thinking about it and stuff. So, you may be right. I'd have to go and see if I could historically look up those. I know that they were changed to be like maintain things and whatnot. It may have been that one. Like, I never had just factions, so it is really kind of interesting to see what just factions looks like. How do I want to go after this one? Ah, that's how I want to go after them, when they group up like that. Would like to get over there and do something. Okay, you know what? You can just... Damage over time AoEs. Okay. That'll allow me to get the first of the 2 monk elites I'm out here to get. Wow. Just Breath of Fire has given me a lot of overcast. Let's just capture this one here. Healing Light's one of those skills that I remember having a discussion with somebody. It would be a lot more interesting in Divine Favor than in actual healing prayers. Just because healing prayers itself is really high competition for an elite that just raises health, whereas in Divine Favor it'd have some chance to like compete a bit. I still don't think it'd be standout like amazing, but I like that idea of that sort of modification. There's so many things though. I would love to have like a personal server of Guild Wars where I could just like play with all of the balance of skills and stuff. Where I can be like, what if it worked this way though? I don't know. At some point, it's like, why do that instead of just make your own game? Because you understand the context of the environment mostly. That's one of the things that, like, making custom Magic the Gathering cards, for example, one of the benefits of that is you can understand how Magic functions as a whole, as opposed to having to learn how the game works if you're making something sufficiently different. And then once you've, like, because if you're making something sufficiently different, you have to learn how it works and what its environment is like, and then you can begin to kind of process things. It's a different process, right? So if you already understand how an environment works, it's a lot easier to add stuff to it. I will heal myself for 40 health. Yeah. That was worth 4 energy. Oh well. It is fun doing this sort of like mental exercise though of, okay, if I were to change stuff, what would I change, why, and what would my goals be and all that sort of stuff. It's a fun mental exercise. Yeah, because I'm getting Blessed Light, which is a skill that I like a lot better than the other one I just captured, but yeah. It definitely affects how I approach things. Okay, let's just pop to the guild hall so I'm not finding a bunch of different random stuff. Yep, everybody has their own perspective that they bring. That was interesting. I was not expecting scales from that. Okay, what do I want to go after next? Boon Signet, sure. That's in Ferndale. Monkey Magic Box. Yeah, I mean, I can also just use Mind Burn if I wanted to. At some point, it's like I'm just playing Prophecies minus, you know? Dropping that Signet of Capture I need. But sure, you know what? Why not? Let's do Mind Burn instead of Breath of Fire so I don't absolutely choke myself in Overcast. Lava arrows aren't really terribly exciting. I'm going to bring to Nice Heat, actually. Because I think that will be nice. Man, there's not very many fire spells. I don't know what the exact math there works out to be, but in terms of number of skills in Prophecies versus Core versus, or like specifically Prophecies versus specifically Factions. But yeah, I am very interested in like game design and how things work and all that sort of stuff. I think about it quite a bit. Do I want Fireball or like Immolate? I think I want Immolate. Actually, No, I want Fireball. Fireball does more damage than sets things on fire for a long period of time. What a weird bar I've got going on. Okay, Ferndale. Actually, leaving from Aspenwood Gate's better. Nope, that's not the correct direction. There's definitely been a lot of analysis that I ended up doing for both Guild Wars 1 and Guild Wars 2, and I realized I wasn't enjoying Guild Wars 2 and was trying to figure out why and what was going on and what could be done differently so I would enjoy it. Also, reading Mark Rosewater's Making Magic column about the design of Magic the Gathering has had a big impact on my thinking about game design stuff. So I definitely am heavily inspired by Magic's sensibilities in that regard. Hungry Magic Box is wandering around here somewhere. Gardner, I would appreciate it if you would stop. Thank you. I should probably also shout out the podcast that I've done with Vernacular Games. I think it's up on our YouTube channel somewhere on game design stuff. Hey, Mungry, you're right there. Would you please stay right about there so I could catch up with you? That would be fantastic. Yeah. Good Mungry Magic Box. You know, this might be a good way of dealing with some of that spam. Yeah. Camera. Yeah, no, I understand. And that's a different approach, too, to, like, trying to do PvE as efficiently as possible, too, right? Like, what stuff is good in the PvP environment versus the PvE environment are... There's overlap. Absolutely overlap, but they're not perfectly the same. So, like, as, warrior or dervish, right? Frontline in PvP... Like, what you're looking for there, what things are effective there, is going to be different than what things you're looking for in... I've probably hit that time too many. Oh, monk. Skills here. Okay. Healer's Boon is Nightfall. Scraps Inside is Nightfall. Oh, yeah. Is there a better place to get Spellbreaker here? Steering to the rescue. Yeah, okay, so some generals. I might get it after General Nimtak and Zaganir Bastion. Okay, let's ignore Spellbreaker for now. Go after Withdraw Hexes, which annoys me in its design. Oh. Yeah, okay. Where's this? Okay, north of Aspenwood Gate, Luxon. But yeah, so that leads to kind of like different evaluations of things, for sure. North of... Okay, let's just go across the boundary here. Why not? Nope, not Fort Aspenwood. Mount Kinkai. Withdraw Hex is an elite that I like to rant about. Because it's like, why, like, what purpose does it serve, right? Ostensibly, Withdraw Hexes. So for those who might be unfamiliar, Withdraw Hexes is like, remove all hexes from target ally and all allies adjacent to that ally, sort of thing. And then for each one that you remove, it recharges longer. I actually, instead of rambling nonsense, Man, look at all of these important protection prayer elites that are not core. Anyway, withdraw hexes. So remove all hexes from target ally and all adjacent allies. The spell takes an additional 9 seconds to recharge for each hex removed in this way. This is like, okay, you've cleared up all of the hexes, but if you did any substantial clearing up of hexes, it's going to take forever to recharge. And if you didn't, then you're probably wasting energy, realistically. So I really don't like the design of that spell because I'm not sure what its purpose is supposed to be. Let's see. I just basically need to head north. Because, like, if its purpose... And, like, this also goes back to Hexway being really strong in PvP. Imagine if it worked the exact opposite way, where instead of the recharge... having a short recharge that lengthens for each hex removed, what if it had a long recharge that decreased for each hex removed? And then you could have kind of the metagame call of, do you think they're going to do Hexway? If so, bring withdraw hexes that we can remove all their hexes over and over and over again. But it's completely, or it's like mostly dead if they're not doing Hexway. I don't know if that would make for a better environment or not, but I'd certainly like to try it out. And it certainly is going to have more potential to impact the environment than the current design. So... okay, it looks like the boss that I'm going for should be somewhere in this general vicinity. Well, I guess we're fighting this guy. So it just feels like it's designed backwards is basically what I'm saying. And I'm not sure like what its purpose is and how it's supposed to solve it. Oh, no, this is the boss I need right here. Ukra Earth's Love. Yeah. Exactly. Or even like a 60-second recharge where like, oh, did you remove a hex from each party member? Now it has like a 5-second recharge or whatever. And it goes down to like, I don't know, if you want to do like a minimum of 2 seconds or if you want to let it go to 0-second recharge or whatever. But just the idea that it gives you a way of being able to fight against Hexway teams by just stripping all of their hexes. But then if you do that, it's very effective. But if you have like 2 hexes that you remove with it, it's like, this is garbage. So that makes it a really powerful counter to a strategy that was kind of a powerful strategy at one point, at least in PvP. And I don't know where things are now with it because they kept trying to figure out how to nerf it. And it's like, sometimes the answer is to make counters, not nerf the thing that was overpowered. I don't know exactly what their thinking and their thought processes were or anything like that. But it'd be a conversation that I'd love to have. I'd love to have that conversation of, well, what was your intention with this skill? Did you ever consider doing this? If so, why didn't you? Things like that. Okay, so let's withdraw Healing Burst. Okay, where can I go capture Healing Burst? This is not a very good skill for this character, but... the Scar Eater? Just south of Vasberg Armory. Okay, that's probably the one I'm going to go get. Just south of Vasberg Armory. Mind Burn, Sign of Capture. This is a very large outpost. I maintain that a lot of the Echovold Forest feels like it was made, and then somebody was like, it needs to be 10 times bigger, and just literally just scaled everything by 10 times. Arborstone in particular has some egregiously tall stairs that are like as tall as your character, but somehow you can just walk up them. Like, I guess. But, anyway. I'd love to be able to do a long-form interview series about design of this game type stuff. I don't know how much those designers remember or not. Some of the details. Izzy is somebody who I'd really like to talk to. He's over at ManaWorks now. Don't know what that studio is doing. It's new. I'd be happy if they made more games kind of in the vein of this. Although, I'm going to be honest, unless Izzy's... I don't know how Izzy approaches balance these days, but in retrospect, I'm not entirely impressed with his run over Guild Wars 1. In retrospect, I think it's potentially a fundamentally different balancing philosophy. Is largely due to why. But that's one of the things, too, is like game balance is subjective about what it is that you're trying to accomplish with your environment and what you think things should look like and all that sort of stuff. If people say something's overpowered, it just means that they think it's more powerful than it should be. Doesn't necessarily mean that everybody agrees with them. And usually there's some other thing going on there. Like it makes it too difficult or it makes it too easy. I don't know. It's interesting to think about. But I maintain that balance is a subjective thing. Like there's an objective quality to it, but what balance looks like is the subjective part. And is something about which people can easily disagree. Hello, Healing Burst. What's next? We've gotten a lot of the rough prophecies ones taken care of, so that's going to speed stuff up. Okay, Healing Light that I already got. Did I get Word of Healing already, or did I? No. Because if I got Word of Healing, it should be... No, it should be after Sickness of Capture. Okay, yeah, it should be in this area, so I did not yet get Word of Healing. Where's a good spot to go capture that? I could get it in Shikwang Skyway. Oh, okay. Yeah, let's go get it there. Yeah, let's go get Word of Healing from Shikwang Skyway. It actually looks like it's closer to get there from the marketplace, weirdly enough. Okay. Yep. For sure. For sure. It is a heck of a commitment. Ah, but I love pre-searing. I love pre-searing. They did some really cool stuff with pre-searing Ascalon. I don't even know how much some of it was intentional. But one of the things that I love about pre-searing is the way that it feels really peaceful because so many of the enemies are non-aggressive. And that the fact that so many of those enemies are non-aggressive really gives the feeling of a more peaceful place. And I love that. There's so many little things about it that I quite like. What you never liked is that oftentimes nerfs in PvP felt more like, we don't know how to deal with this, so we forcefully change the meta to something different. And when that gets stale, we change it again, without maybe giving people the time to figure out a way to counter it without these kind of nerfs. Yeah, no, see, that's exactly the sort of issue. So, I don't know how much you were on some of the forums and stuff here, but I remember back in the, and this is something where I've had a perspective shift. Back in the day when I was like when the game was more in its heyday and stuff, 2005 through like 07 or whatever. Now, for some context, I did go to a video game related college, but which is where I discovered Magic the Gathering. But to kind of give some stuff here and to continue where I'm going, I remember back in the day seeing like Ensign on like Guild Wars Guru and stuff having very open disagreements about how balance should look with Izzy and the team. I kind of want to just refer to the team and not use Izzy as a proxy for the entire team. I assume he's not doing all of the balance tweaks himself and is consulting and stuff like that. But he was kind of the front man for it. So I remember being very supportive of the developers and thinking the developers probably know what they're doing and stuff like that. But my perspective at this point is that after getting introduced to Magic the Gathering, reading a bunch of stuff there, doing a lot more thinking about design, all that sort of stuff, I've kind of come to the conclusion that I don't think the team who was in charge of balancing Guild Wars 1 understood how to balance a game like Guild Wars 1. I think they're trying to balance it like it's a different type of game, because different types of games have different balancing mechanisms. And so something like a first-person shooter, for example, and I don't remember Izzy's history. I just know he was kind of in charge of some of the balancing stuff. But something like a first-person shooter has a very different set of balance needs and balance goals and how you achieve balance versus something like Guild Wars 1, which needs a balance or benefits, in my opinion, from a balance methodology that is more similar to how a trading card game gets balanced. And in particular, there's a lot of thinking with how Magic the Gathering works, right? And so it's some of those considerations of how are we providing counter strategies to things that are strong? How are we distributing skill types? How are we distributing effects? How are we maintaining the sort of design space integrity? Oh, there's the boss I need right up there. So, for example, with Magic the Gathering, and I don't know how much any of you play Magic the Gathering, but you have 5 different colors for resource types: red, white, blue, black, red, green, and those types have effects associated with them, mechanics that they do, but also very importantly, they have mechanics that they don't do. And so you have kind of this this push and pull. Okay, good. So you have that push and pull, right? Of red cannot directly destroy enchantments. Now it can kind of get around it by using Scour from Existence, for example, if you want to spend 7 mana to do it. And there's some other effects too. But by itself, it can't deal with them, right? So you have to go to artifacts or colorless spells, or you can go to a different color in order to grab something like a disenchant from white or naturalize from green or something like that. And that sort of what can't this do is really important for the definition, the mechanical definition of the colors. And Guild Wars is similar in that you want to have mechanical definitions for the different attribute lines and the professions. And so this is where I get annoyed with things like Foul Feast. As a skill, actually, I think I have it on Livia. As a skill, Foul Feast is it's not something, because here's the thing. You can almost always justify a skill from a flavor standpoint. So you're having to try to figure out what is the mechanical identity of this as well. So Foul Feast, perfectly justifiable skill for a Necromancer to have, but by giving it to Necromancer, they no longer have to go into Monk to be able to get that effect. And it's things like that kind of bother me in kind of a low-key but deep design philosophy sort of way. And so the other thing, too, is the release valves, the Grafdigger's Cages, the Gainsays, or Red Elemental Blasts, or whatever. Those sorts of effects are things that, if they're designed well, can help provide something that you can put into an environment, into a format, to be able to counteract powerful strategies that maybe Grafdigger's Cage is absolutely worthless in the case where your opponent's not doing anything with their graveyard. But in the case where your opponent is doing something with their graveyard, all of a sudden it becomes substantially more useful. Do I want to go to this boss, or do I want to go after this boss? I want to go after the one just outside Unwaking Waters Luxon. Okay. So it's there's these little portions. This is where I'm talking about again, justifying balance from a flavor perspective is a slippery slope, because you can justify anything you want. So it's what should a profession be able to do and what shouldn't they be able to do is really important to sort of the mechanical integrity of the game, I guess, is the way that I describe it. And so, like, this is where allowing professions to do too much becomes a problem. But then you also have things that are like the elite we're about to capture is a really good example. I'm about to go get Air of Enchantment. And Air of Enchantment is a skill that I consider unbalanceable. The reason I consider Air of Enchantment unbalanceable is because I cannot think of a legitimate use for the effect. So either the skill is too weak to be busted, or it's broken, right? So it's too weak to be busted and therefore worthless, or it's broken because there's no legitimate reason to actually make use of the skill. And there's just different stuff like that. So anyway, the whole idea of like making sure there's counterplay strategies, and this is again why I talked about withdraw hexes, right? Withdraw hexes feels like a skill based on its name and the functionality that it currently has. Feels like a skill that whose job is to be a counterplay strategy for Hexway, but it's not designed that way. It's designed to not function well in that environment. Man, this thing really wants to be on top of us. Because it's been set up to have... to not be very effective in those environments. Because it's like, it becomes too much of a one-shot effect. So it's like, well, do you want this to be able to counteract this or not? And the answer is, well, if you wanted to be able to counteract this, you'd have had to have designed it so that way it could. And you didn't. So, therefore, it doesn't. So I've definitely... So, like, Air of Enchantment right here, right? For 5 seconds, enchantments cast on target other ally cost 5 less energy, minimum of 1. When am I ever going to want to use this elite if I'm not trying to abuse the energy discount that it gives? If I'm not abusing that energy discount, there's no point in using it because other elites do something, right? This doesn't do anything intrinsically. What I really would like this elite to be is to be a protection parries version of Healer's Covenant, which makes like your enchantments cheaper but last less time, right? Imagine if this was your monk enchantments cost minus like 3 energy, but lasts only 75% of their original duration, or last 25% less time, or whatever. Something like that would at least be something to consider. But like as it is, it's just it's a skill that I cannot figure out how you could possibly balance, because either it is overpowered because you're doing some sort of abusive thing with it, and that's what we saw, right? We saw the Zealot's Fire spam, right? Where people would use Zealot's Fire and then spam like Reversal of Fortune and Reversal of Damage on somebody with like 3 Smiting Monks. In fact, we have right here EW pre-builds Air of Smite right here. This is that build. This is sort of the core of that build. And this build was all about spamming the benefit from Zealot's Fire, or the damage from Zealot's Fire around somebody. And that's the only use case that I can think of for Air of Enchantment. Otherwise, like, I guess you could theoretically toss it on a Pious Renewal Dervish to make them even more efficient or something. But the fact that you can't use it on yourself means that self-enchanting characters like Dervishes can't really make use of it. So you have to throw it on a monk, but then what are they doing with it, and how are they making good use of it? And it's just like, I cannot figure out the use case for this skill that's not just broken. And that makes it unbalanceable, because either it's overpowered because that's the only thing that design is useful for, or it's too weak to actually function in that scenario. And it's like, okay, so what have you done now? You've made a skill that I have no use for. So that's the sort of thing. So like, I feel like I more agree with Ensign at this point, where it doesn't feel like the developers 100% knew what it was that they were trying to accomplish. Or how to achieve their goals. And that's just kind of the impression I've been left with at this point. But I think this is probably easier to get off of Seaguard Gita at the beginning of Boreas Seabed. Hang on. Are there other elites in the Boreas Seabed mission that I might want to grab? No. There are 2 ranger elites, but there is only 1 monk elite. Okay, let's go do let's go do it that way. Yeah. As an alternative to just destroying the meta completely with nerfs, they gave these effects to other classes as well. Yeah, I mean, that could be. And again, I haven't ever had a chance to like sit down and talk with Izzy to understand what he was trying to do or what he was trying to accomplish or how he thought about things or any of that sort of stuff. So anything that I say about, like, I can only interpret what I see presented in the game. It's definitely, and there's like other things too. Like, I don't think they left themselves enough design space for adding future professions. And I think that became more and more of a struggle as they went on. They talked about making tutorials as being a problem, and I think that's true. I think the tutorialization does become a problem. Part of that is because they felt burdened by the legacy of carrying all the professions forward. And I do agree with Isaiah Cartwright on this, in that I think it would have been a better idea to figure out how to graft on additional attribute lines to the existing professions than to introduce new professions with each campaign. And like kind of more what they've done with Guild Wars 2 in that regard. I'm not entirely sure how you do that. You do make the initial design differently, because you'd want to think about what are things you want to rotate out. What are things that a Canthan warrior does? What are things that like a Canthan ranger does, for example, and those sorts of things. And at a certain point, you're fundamentally designing the professions differently from the base if you're doing that. Because either you're saying, because I think the way that makes that most interesting is to have different primary attributes that you kind of have to choose between. But if you are doing that, you have to figure out, okay, I don't need broadhead arrow and stuff landing on me. You have to kind of figure out what your effects are going to be. But I don't think, looking at the evidence of, my goodness, could I have less days, please? Looking at the evidence in the game of what they've implemented, I don't get the impression that ArenaNet were really thinking that hard. Like, I think they thought, like, here's how our business model is going to work, but I don't think they really thought through the implications of what their business model was and what its needs were. And I say that based on, like, the pacing of prophecies and the design of the initial professions, which ate up design space. Like, it covered the design space of the things that you could do in the game extremely well. Which made it very difficult to add new stuff on. Okay, here's the boss I'm going to want. But, like, I think Prophecies has fantastic pacing for being within Prophecies, but terrible pacing in the context of the games as a whole, if that makes sense. Like, in the context of, we need to make more of these, where do we want characters to branch in? I think that they had to figure that out after Prophecies was released. I think that's part of why Factions probably took a bunch of time. They had to figure out what that looked like. I think I'm just going to go south from here. I think it's south from here. Let me check. That was a pretty straightforward way of getting Life Sheath. Yeah, that was the Shield of Regen. Where do I want to get Shield of Regen? There's either Meryl Stoneweaver, which is not too far into Arborstone. I'm not going to get that one. Green Branch. Yeah, that's deeper into Holdings of Shokin than... Horai Wing Shielder. Okay, that's probably the easiest one. I'll get it off of Wing Shielder. Okay, so that brings us to Smiting Prayers. Signet of Judgment, I think, is just south of here. Scourge Wind... No, wait. Never mind, it's just south of Leviathan Pits. I was looking in the wrong spot. Seafarer's Rest. Oh. Well, I mean, it would be extremely convenient to go get, except for the fact that it's, like, north. Like, massively north there. Let's see. Do they put it in a different spot? Because, again, that one's, like, right after Leviathan Pits, but I do not have Leviathan Pits. Oh. Yeah, I can just go capture it off of Kaiju Dawn. Dirt. That's a super easy place to go get it. Let's go get it there. I also don't know why they decided to make duplicate skills and factions rather than just making those skills core. I think that is a bit of a strange decision. With that decision, I don't know why they picked the skills that they did. But anyway. It's all interesting stuff to think about, though, of if you were to think about what makes the warrior warrior, what makes the mesmer a mesmer, and so on and so forth. If you wanted to set stuff up, again, the question is, do you want to add an additional primary attribute as well as an additional other attribute or not? Like, what exact changes you'd want to make are kind of like, you know, open, right? You're not limited in that way of like seeing what decisions did they make. And it's interesting to try to think about, okay, what do you thematically want? Because I feel like you would probably, instead of doing a ranger, you'd probably want it to be rogue or something, right? And then maybe expertise and beast mastery are rogue or ranger version skills or something. I don't know. It's all a bunch of like, how could you set this up to be interesting in a different way, sort of stuff, where you're giving a certain amount of new attribute lines and not like, and trying not to overload and all sorts of random considerations. Because some stuff merges really well into, like, dagger mastery can fit really nicely onto ranger thematically speaking. But it's difficult to kind of do some of that because of the context of the game that we have, and that's where that just becomes difficult, and so we're kind of left scratching our heads and saying, okay, instead of what could have been, what do we have, and where could things have gone differently with that path? But it's useful to think about, too, because thinking about, like, okay, how does the way that I'm designing my game interact with my business model is a really important question to ask. And it's useful to think about how that played out for Guild Wars and what lessons can be learned from that if you're making a game. And I think one of the important questions to ask is, how does this fit into the broader context of, I make a new thing, what do I do? Like, even something as simple as they had to add the battle isles, right? The different primary attributes or lines would be insanely difficult to balance for PvP. Just from a visual clarity standpoint, you'll have no idea if that's a ranger or rogue or what he could be doing to you. Yeah, no, for sure. Like, there's all sorts of problems you have to kind of answer. And problems to solve. But the big thing that you're going to run into with Guild Wars 1 is, without some sort of rotating format to push skills out of use. So you're running a couple of issues. One, you need to be releasing new campaigns because that's what your business model is. So you can't just do like free skill updates to move things around or whatever, because that's not your business model. Two, you need to make the new skills appealing to people so that way they, I don't know, buy them, which incentivizes power creep. It doesn't necessarily lead to it, but it incentivizes it. Do I want to go get Word of Censure first or Ray of Judgment? I think, yeah, that's up in there. So I'm right near there, so I'm going to go get that first, I think. you're going to run into design space constraints as well, because there's only so many different effects you can make in the game. Now, you can keep grafting on stuff to make more effects from, but what you're going to run into as you do that is you're going to run into the problem of, like, how do you keep old stuff relevant? And like, we ran into that problem, right, with chance and echoes and weapon skills, right? Right. Yeah, that's the problem with power creep, is it, as you said, oh, look at all these skills, but 90% of them are worthless. You only use these ones. And it's like, do you really have all those skills? You just have a lot of clutter. So it's like, you want to keep honestly, you want to keep a more streamlined set of skills in something like this. Or at least you want to be, like, conscientious about what the purpose of your skills is fulfilling, without, like, diluting stuff or providing too many things. Like we were talking about earlier, there's so many lifesteal skills in blood magic, because that's kind of the part of the mechanical identity that they gave to blood magic, that they all kind of have to be kind of low-key garbage, because otherwise the mass of them just becomes too powerful and just overwhelms things. Like, that's not entirely accurate, but from a PvE standpoint, if I'm looking at, Vampiric Gaze, I'm not too impressed by it. I'm not too impressed by... oh, this is sorted weirdly. Shadow Strike. Let's just go back to sort by attribute. So I'm not too impressed by Lifebane Strike and Shadow Strike. Vampiric Swarm strikes me as being okay. This strikes me as being okay, but it's like, none of them, like, Blood Drinker. When am I going to choose Blood Drinker? But, like, what we've built up here is not that any individual skill is, like, that impressive, but the aggregate of them, of, like, oh, you've brought 6 people with these skills, all of a sudden you're rolling over us because you have so much lifesteal. Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, that was consistently a problem for PvP, was you gave us too many really good lifesteal skills, and now all anybody does is, or now people are just incentivized to make a bunch of blood necromancers with bars full of lifesteal skills, and just kind of be the inevitable swarm of, we can't kill them because they're stealing all of our health, also we can't stop them from stealing all of our health. And that's where you get reversal of fortune working against lifesteal all of a sudden, because they needed some way to try to deal with that. And they just could not figure out a way of dealing with it. And part of it is they just made friggin' too many of them. Like, that's legitimately part of the problem. Because you only need so many of those effects, and then you start getting redundancies. It's like, how many grizzly bears do you really need, right? You're only going to run so many grizzly bears in a magic deck. But it's like, at what point have you just printed so many copies of this one card, or, intimate variants of it, or very, very similar Proximus variants of it, that's like, oh, well, we don't need to do anything else other than just fill our deck with this. It's like, I mean, it's basically mono red is kind of what it is. Or burn deck. It's like, oh, you've just printed so many burn spells that all we need to do is just run burn spells. Except without a good counter strategy. And so they tried to introduce a counter strategy, and I can't necessarily say it was a good one. And it was a band-aid on the fundamental design flaw of, you just gave us like 30 lightning bolts. Why did you do that? Or like 5, but it multiplies out when you have enough copies. Let's see, where exactly is this person? Ah, right over there, Shen the Magistrate. So it's kind of fundamentally important that you provide good ways of dealing with those things. And it's difficult to kind of figure out what's the best way of dealing with it, because the other thing is lifesteal fundamentally can work as a counterbalance to too much protection, right? If the meta goes too heavy on protection, then lifesteal, back before it could be affected by any protection skills, could just plow right through it. And that's like, oh, an effective counter to 55ing. Instead of putting rend enchantment, friggin' weird rend enchantment things everywhere, you could have alternatively just put Vampiric Gaze, like just dudes with Vampiric Gaze. It's like, okay, well, what would they do now? Like, you have effectively added a thing that's a one-shot for 55ers. So imagine if in the underworld, right, and when they're trying to stop 55ers, instead of putting rend enchantments everywhere, they just put vampiric gaze at, like, enough to one-shot a 55er. All of a sudden, that's no longer a viable thing, and that would have been a way to address that. Mm. Yeah, I get you. Like, that's another way of trying to do it that counteracts some of the effects of the lifesteal. I think part of my issue with, honestly, with blood magic is it doesn't really feel like it has a clear mechanical identity to me. Okay, Ray of Judgment's gonna be... I need Ray of Judgment and Empathic Removal. Actually, I'm gonna need to be ending soon, unfortunately. Ray of Judgment, the Undercity. How annoyingly into the Undercity. Yeah, I'm not going to the Heart of the Shiver Peaks, thanks. Okay, just near Buckdeck Byway. So if I go in near the Buckdeck Byway entrance, because yeah, okay, over that way. Oh, what's the concluding thought here? Mine burn and ignite. Actually, I'm gonna go back to the campaign store just because it made it really easy to slap these things on my skill bar. Yeah, but blood magic just needed less of its identity stored up in lifesteal and more in the sacrifice health for effects sort of area. And I think they could have done a bunch of things there, but it's difficult because you want to try to keep a distinct mechanical identity for blood magic and curses, and you're starting to run into the problem of that overlap. Honestly, the Necromancer probably needed to be re-envisioned a little bit because it's very close to the Mesmer. And this is one of those things that's kind of an odd question. Should Epidemic have been a Necromancer skill instead of a Mesmer skill? And it's an interesting question based on the quandary of, do you want to emphasize condition usage with the Necromancer, or do you want to force the Necromancer to go over into Mesmer territory in order to be able to get some of these effects, you know? And it's like, that's an interesting question. But I could see Epidemic being like a blood spell, like sacrifice 5% health at like 1 energy or whatever. Like that could have been a way of doing it, or like there's just different ways that you could have kind of approached it. I think, honestly, I would have wanted to see like Necromancer push a little bit harder into condition stuff and stuff that cares about conditions. Yeah, it absolutely like feels like it could be. I think I'd want to like push the Necromancer a bit more towards condition stuff, especially like as a secondary on death magic and blood magic. Like, I think having more blood magic skills care about enemies bleeding and or you bleeding would have been a really interesting direction to go as well, and would have given some utility to some skills. Curses is a bit of a tricky one because that is trying to play in a very similar place to where the Mesmer is. And figuring out what does the Necromancer do and what does the Mesmer do, and what do they... Like, it's okay to have them overlap, but where do they not overlap, I think is a really, really important question that I'm not entirely sure has an answer. And in part, it's a difficult question to answer. Ah, it's so nice not having to worry about flashing blades while I'm fighting these stupid assassins. Oh, right. This boss is going to be... I think I had to fight past this one when I was going after... oh, what's it called? The Order of Apostasy. But there's a heck of a lot of overlap. One of the points of difference, actually, is Mesmers can remove hexes and Necromancers can't. But they can both remove enchantments. They can both cause health degen. They both have Punisher, hexes. So it's kind of... They both can slow attack speed. Mesmer can slow casting speed. I don't think Necromancer can. Necromancer might not be able to slow movement speed. I don't know. It's interesting to try to think about what are the identities of these things, what can't they do, and that sort of stuff. But I definitely would push Necromancer more towards conditions stuff. And I might reconsider curses entirely as an attribute line and go for something else. I don't think Necromancer has an interrupts currently. Wail of Doom used to be an interrupt. That was for a brief-ish period of time. Okay, yeah, here's the boss that I need. Now's the time to go get wrecked. Necromancer is a bit better at removing enchantments than Mesmer is, except fast casting kind of messes with that. I'm going to let this broken pustule wander off a little bit, maybe. You're right. Interrupts is a key difference. Oh, I am so degenning so hard. I think, yeah, it's kind of interesting. Now what you're making me want to do, and this is probably not a bad idea, is to just sit down and do kind of like a big assessment of what mechanics do the different professions have. Okay, that proved to be significantly easier when I wasn't trying to charge through like 30 guys at once. And I actually let them spawn instead of wrecking me. Guardians Conservatory. Because that would be a really interesting assessment of like skills that do effects and things like that. Because I think that there's a quantity sort of question as well. Like Ranger has a bunch of interrupts, and Warrior has several interrupts, but not as like you don't think of like Warrior as an interrupter like you do a Ranger. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One of which is Ranger's range, so they don't have to be on top of somebody to interrupt them, which obviously makes Warrior less reliable of an interrupter. And then also like recharge times and like quantity. Like Warrior has several interrupt skills, but they're kind of like spread out, and some of them are kind of awkward and stuff like that. But then there's skills like We Shall Return, which just feels like a way of saying Warrior can't deal with conditions, so here's a skill to prove they can't deal with conditions very well. It's like, but why did you bother to make this thing a thing that exists? Just why? Yeah. I think all physical weapons do have some form of interrupt. Paragon is not very good at interrupting. Their interrupt is highly conditional, and they have just the one of it. Although they do get dazed decently well. They're the second best at... I don't know. I don't know if second best at dazing is quite accurate, but they're up there for dazing. Warrior can daze, but not super well. Mesmer can daze as well, weirdly enough. I think that concludes the factions ones. So at this point, it's just... some Nightfall stuff, some core stuff, core skills that I haven't grabbed yet. Let's go grab. Yeah, I have a bunch of playing with a Paragon on my YouTube channel before I started streaming Guild Wars. I did a lot of pre-recorded videos. Very similar to my streams, actually, in many regards, except without being able to converse, and not as long. But I played through the game extensively on a Paragon at that point in time. Paragon, to me, is the sort of profession where it feels like what they said is what. How do I want to phrase this? It feels like what they said with Paragon is, what if we made tactics into a profession? But the reason why I say Paragon is the worst designed profession is because leadership actively pushes them to design it badly. Leadership encourages you to design a bunch of affect the entire party skills, and then echoes were a terrible idea because we have two varieties, one of which sticks around forever in the form of refrains, and they generally just stick around, right? That's the idea, is they just stick around. And then the other of which encourages you to run as many shouts and chants as possible that can trigger it in the form of finales. And you can't remove them. Terrible idea. Because the interaction on them is very poor, right? They're interaction poor, and you want interaction. You want points of interaction in games. That's usually what makes them interesting. Wing Shielder is this way somewhere. And then, so you have that. But then you also have leadership encourages you to have as many of those shouts and chants be AoE as possible. So I think Paragon could have worked a lot better if they had set up more of the skills to be like effects that were single target. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of different ways. And without actually talking to the designers, we don't really know what they were conceiving of the... where exactly is this boss? Of the Paragon as. Like, it feels like it's trying to... There it is. Play into the... we are a military commander. Like, the Sun Spears is about being, like, an organized military and stuff. Like, it has that aspect to it, too. But it's got this unfortunate balance problem where it's extremely, like, self-referential. It's very parasitic. Like I was saying earlier when Ravager was around. I don't know if you were here at that time or not. But to me, Paragon feels a lot like Splice onto Arcane from Kamigawa, where it's like it encourages you to run as much of that effect as you possibly can in your deck in order to get like maximum benefit. But it just does not play with anything outside of that set, right? And it feels an awful lot like that to me. I actually have a whole pile of ranting about the Paragon in the introductory video on it in the review project I did a while back on my YouTube channel. I've changed my opinion about a lot of skills after that. But if you're interested, you can always go to my YouTube and find that Guild Wars skill review project and look up that Paragon intro video where I talk about like a lot of the issues. But leadership, like I said, it incentivizes you to make shouts and chants that affect everything. Echoes reward you for running as many shouts and chants as possible. And a lot of stuff, in my opinion, on the Paragon is like, a lot of it is in that sort of, if you hit a critical mass of it, it's really strong. But if you're not hitting that critical mass, it's kind of utter garbage. And that's kind of a terrible place for it to be. How much is minor domination magic worth? Okay, not very much. I might salvage that out, though, and put it on a hero. Cool, I get to keep that. Is Sentry's worth anything? I just kind of assumed not. Can I salvage red iris flowers? I wish you could salvage red iris flowers for plant fibers. That would be cool. Slap on Signal of Capture and Mindburn. Anyway, I'm just about done with the stream here. I'm going to slap on... I don't know why I'm saying slap here. Is a way of adding to my party. Yeah, I'm going to give Gwen this domination rune just to have... in case I want to do any domination magic stuff with her. Let's grab Elias back. But anyway, there's a lot more thinking about the stuff that I kind of want to do. I like that idea of looking through, okay, what effects do you actually have? Like, what are some meta categories of effects, and what sort of overlap exists between the professions with regards to them? But anyway, I'm going to need to wrap up my stream here, so I thank you for watching, hanging out, chatting. It's always fun. I enjoy these game design conversations. I enjoy them quite a bit. It's one of my favorite subjects. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and end the stream now, so take care and goodbye.